Chapter 22:31. There was no accusation in his words. He didn't intend to blame her either. For a junior who was protected by the elders of the clan could provide support for whatever he wanted. There was no need for him to put himself in danger just for some opportunities. This was a gift from the heavens, a background that others could only envy. However, there were times when he was overly doting and overly protective. He habitually wanted to rely on his family. In this world where no one knew the dangers and tomorrow would come early, it was definitely not a good sign. For example, just now, everyone was trying to break through their limit. In order to protect her younger siblings, Hua Jianro risked her life to fight against the natives. In the end, she lost an arm, and her body was riddled with holes. She was still unconscious, and it was unknown whether she was dead or alive. In the beginning, Bai Sei was trembling in fear and did not even dare to raise his head. She also overcame the fear in her heart and held the weapon in her hand to fight. He fell into a pool of blood and lost his calf. Qingyu used her own life to threaten Yi Zichen and company as safety. The moment Meng Luo was released, she immediately considered everything. These were all signs of growth. However, the flame rat was the only man among them. In the end, he was still trembling in fear. Was this really okay? If Qingyu hadn't succeeded in blackmailing Yi Zichen, and if Yi Zichen hadn't condensed his godhead to break out of this predicament, was the flame rat really going to surrender and wait for its death? Yi Zichen didn't dare to believe that his thoughts were absolutely correct. Everyone had different life experiences, but they were all on the brink of despair. If he lost the most basic ability to resist, how could he survive in the vast universe? He didn't know the flame rat's family, and he didn't know what kind of powerful people there were in their clan. Perhaps his family was very large. He was so huge that no one in the first universe could hurt him. His family would pave the way for him. However, could the flame rat really inherit the family's legacy in this state? Furthermore, this was the second universe, not the first universe. No matter how big the flame rat's family was, it was nothing here. Before the fusion of the universe, everyone's starting point was the same. He had encountered a crisis. Could it be that his family's elders would be able to kill their way here to save him? It was time for him to learn to grow. As a man, he had to shoulder the responsibility and burden. According to the situation just now, Hua Jianro's position should have been his. Yi Zichen fought alongside him. Even if they had to fight to the last breath. Future God, the flame rat lowered his head and muttered, while Yi Zichen's words echoed in his mind. Recalling his actions at that time, he couldn't help but clench his fist. Take your time. Yi Zichen patted Yi Zichen's shoulders with a smile. He knew very well that this sort of thing had to be slowly accepted. In the past, he was used to being protected. It was very difficult for him to be independent, unless he could encounter things that could make him grow instantly. It was just that sort of thing was far too painful. Even when Yi Zichen thought back to it, his heart ached. It was better not to let the little flame rat have a taste of the pain he had gone through. What's more, Yi Zichen was different. He had to move forward. Only by moving forward could he have enough confidence and confidence. Those who stood behind him would be happier. Dong, dong, dong. Someone knocked on the door. Yi Zichen patted the flame rat's head and opened the door. Surprisingly, it was Qingyu who entered his line of sight. Qingyu's father, Qing Hui, was placed in another room. Yi Zichen had thought that she would stay with Qing Hui the entire time, but he wasn't surprised that she was here. Hello, I would like to ask, how long will it take for the doctor to? Qingyu, who was standing at the door, clenched her fists behind her back. There was a hint of struggle lingering in her eyes. Yi Zichen glanced at her, then signaled her to come in. How is your father? He's still unconscious. Qingyu pursed her lips. Hearing that, Yi Zichen nodded. Let's wait. My people have already gone to get a doctor. He should reach the star level very quickly. All right. Biting her lips, Qingyu hesitated for a moment before preparing to leave. Nothing else you want to say? Yi Zichen sat on the chair and watched Qingyu, who was about to leave the room. Some things are better said in advance. If you continue to hide it, it won't be good for you or for us. Almighty! The flame rat raised its head. Qingyu stood in front of the door without turning back. Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile. Maybe I was wrong. Sorry. Qingyu pursed her lips, then turned around and bowed deeply towards Yi Zichen and the flame rat. Sorry. As soon as she finished speaking, Qingyu ran out of the room. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. His hands couldn't help but pinch his head. This is so troublesome. I feel like I walked into a pit, and it won't be easy to get out. Lord Fire. The Lord Fire they mentioned is that elemental commander, right? Just what does he want to do? To control the natives of the entire village? The natives here don't seem to be as strong as the warlords in the elemental lands. Qingyu definitely knows some inside information. It's just that she doesn't want to say it. Future Almighty, why did Qingyu apologize to us? The flame rat asked. How would I know if you ask me? Yi Zichen shrugged. If you're curious, then go and ask. Don't you want to chase her? Right now, she has a lot on her mind, so it's time for you to become a caring big brother and solve her problems. It's better for you to do this sort of thing. The flame rat smiled wryly. That's true, but she's guarded against me. Can't you tell that she doesn't really trust me? Yi Zichen smiled. Compared to you, she seems to trust you a lot. The flame rat was shocked. Go, hurry up and comfort the little girl. Yi Zichen indicated towards the flame rat, but didn't mention anything about the information. Sometimes being too purposeful would have the opposite effect. For example, Yi Zichen's words carried a very strong purposeful intent. Some people liked to get straight to the point, while others didn't like that. Qingyu was the latter. Letting the flame rat comfort her, this little fellow was just a silly person. Qingyu would be able to relax a lot in front of him. Perhaps there would be an unexpected surprise. The flame rat looked towards Bai Sei and Hua Jianrou. Leave this place to me, Yi Zichen smiled. What? Are you worried that I'll molest them here? Don't worry, I'm not that sort of person. Then I'm going. F***CK. You're suddenly not worried? You couldn't really be suspecting that I would do something bad to them, right? How could I? The flame rat couldn't help but laugh. Even if I don't trust anyone, I will definitely trust you. I trust that Baijie and Rojie will be the same. At least you know how to talk, Yi Zichen snorted, then raised his eyebrows towards the outside. Hurry up and go. Chapter 2232. In the room next door. After Qingyu returned to her room, she sat beside Qing Hui and looked outside the window. Her once bright eyes were now filled with a deathly gray color. This was not surprising. After witnessing such a scene with their own eyes, who could truly remain indifferent? It was fortunate that she did not feel any closeness towards the other people in her family. Her only relative, Qing Hui, still had a chance of survival. This possibility also caused the blood-colored world in front of her to brighten up a bit. Can I come in, Qingyu? The flame rat knocked on Yi Zichen's door. Hearing that, Qingyu, who was sitting by the window, wiped away the tears in her eyes, then walked to the door and opened it. Qingyu. The moment she opened the door, Qingyu saw the flame rat's eyes filled with concern. You cried. Qingyu forced a smile and moved away from the door. Sit. Qingyu, I am sorry. As soon as they entered the house, the flame rat apologized to Qingyu. I didn't protect you well. I was too timid. It has nothing to do with you, Qingyu shook her head. It does, the flame rat shook his head firmly. Future bro just said that I should learn to grow up. I thought about it a lot. Maybe I was too naive, causing Baijie, Rojie and the others to become like that. Qingyu remained silent. The flame rat continued to speak. He said a lot. From his family to his life. Then he mentioned Bai Sei, Hua Jianrou, Meng Luo, his good friends. He kept talking, and Qingyu kept listening. That's great, Everyone in your family loves you, and you have a lot of good friends, Qingyu smiled. No, Qingyu, don't think too much. Suddenly, the flame rat seemed to realize that he said the wrong thing. I didn't do it on purpose. I just don't know what to say, and I really want to find someone to talk to. No worries, Qingyu shook her head. From now on, I will definitely be an indomitable man, just like future bro. The flame rat looked up. I will protect them, and protect you. Towards the end, the flame rat's ears turned a bit red, and his voice became softer and softer. Protect me? Qingyu was stunned. Yes, protect you. The flame rat clenched his teeth. Qingyu, actually, From the moment I saw you, I don't. Suddenly, Qingyu interrupted the flame rat. The flame rat was stunned and stared at Qingyu for a long time. Not long after, he slapped himself hard in the face. What was he doing just now? The fates of Sister Bai and Sister Ro were still unknown, and he was still talking about this here? Sorry. I should be the one apologizing to you. Qingyu shook her head. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't be like this. This has nothing to do with you. It's those guys, they know. Qingyu seemed to know what the flame rat wanted to say as she shouted it out loud. It's not what you think. In fact, it's all because of me. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. He didn't know what was going on. It was obviously a wooden house with excellent soundproofing. Yi Zichen stuck to the wall for a long time, but didn't hear a single word. Future God. The door to the room was suddenly pushed open. Meng Luo hurried in and saw Yi Zichen leaning against the wall. Almighty, what are you doing? Nothing, ha ha. Yi Zichen scratched his head with a coy smile. I'm back. Sister Ro and Sister Bai. Meng Luo hesitated. Yi Zichen smiled. They're still breathing. I've been using cosmic energy to maintain their auras. Han Qing has already gone to find a doctor. They should be here soon. Don't worry, they'll be fine. I believe you, Meng Luo smiled. How are they doing outside? Yi Zichen asked. Terrible, Meng Luo replied. Right now, Sister Ro and Sister Bai Yu's consciousness are fading in and out of consciousness. I've notified the seniors in the family. They said that if it really comes to it, then we should notify them again. They can contact the Virtual World Corporation and forcefully sever Sister Ro and Sister Bai Yu's consciousness. It's nice to lean against a tree. Meng Luo said that the family could directly contact the Virtual World Corporation and forcefully sever their consciousness connection. Forcefully severing their consciousness will damage their brains, right? Asked Yi Zichen. It will, Meng Luo nodded. But at least they'll survive. Then hurry up and tell them not to sever their consciousness. Look, I've already saved them. Han Qing's doctor will be here soon, said Yi Zichen. I know, the flame rat told me, Meng Luo smiled. I fed them pills, they should be able to last for a long time. Pills. No wonder. Yi Zichen suddenly felt their auras grow stronger when he checked their situation. So it's pills from the outside world. It also affected them in the second world to a certain extent. Sire. Right at this moment, Han Qing rushed in, and beside him was a travel-worn old man. This is my old friend, Song Huitian. He's a great doctor. Elder Song. Yi Zichen and Meng Luo quickly bowed. Please take a look at my two friends and the one in the room next door. All right, the elder nodded. Please, Yi Zichen begged. I will do my best. With that, Yi Zichen, Meng Luo and Han Qing all left the room. They waited outside the door. Elder Song didn't leave the room for more than 4 hours. During that time, Meng Luo placed her hand on her chest as if she was praying. Yi Zichen also frowned. Creak. The door was pushed open. Elder Song, how is it? Yi Zichen immediately went up, but noticed that Elder Song's expression wasn't very optimistic. All of a sudden, his heart sank. These two friends of yours are too seriously injured. I've treated their external injuries, but this. Elder Song wanted to say something, but she hesitated. Elder Song, just say it, said Yi Zichen. Their external injuries are a small matter, the main issue is that their internal injuries are too severe. Especially that girl in white. When I checked her situation, I noticed that a lot of the energy in her body seemed to have gone out of control and was extremely berserk. Elder Song frowned. This old one is useless, there's nothing I can do. I'll tell Daddy to go find the Virtual World Corporation right now, Meng Luo shouted. Don't go, Yi Zichen stopped her. Elder Song, is there really no other way? It's not that there isn't a way, said Elder Song. If you want to cure them, you need internal healing. This requires a large amount of life force. If you can find someone with this kind of medical expertise, then they can be saved. With that, Elder Song let out a deep sigh. I'll go take a look in the room next door. Chapter 2233. Rich Life Force. According to the old doctor, the first person Yi Zichen thought of was the goddess of life, who possessed the divine spark of life. Su Yan. The power she used was pure life force. Even though she was currently in the real world, the virtual network could not contact her. Moreover, even if she was allowed to enter the game, she might not be able to quickly awaken the life divine spark. Qingyu and the flame rat walked out of the room next door. Qingyu's head was lowered, and the flame rat's brows were tightly furrowed. He glanced at Qingyu. The flame rat let out a deep breath, then turned towards Yi Zichen and company. Future God, what do you think? Yi Zichen remained silent, while Meng Luo's expression was filled with urgency. Almighty, it's better to cut off the virtual consciousness as soon as possible. Do you know anyone in the real world who has abundant life force and uses it to heal others? Asked Yi Zichen. It seems like, Meng Luo bit her lip. In her memory, she didn't seem to know such a doctor. We can look for them. If we all contact each other, we will definitely be able to find such a person. I believe that your clans have the ability to do so. Yi Zichen nodded. The problem is, the universe is so vast. Even if they did find it, would they be able to get there in time? No. Meng Luo pursed her lips and shook her head. If it was a nearby star system, it would be fine as the time needed to arrive would be shorter. If they were separated by several universes, even if they kept jumping from the dark universe, it would take a lot of time. Maybe 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or even longer. Is there no other way? Meng Luo asked. Don't worry. Yi Zichen's mind raced as he calculated Hua Jianrou and Bai Sei's situation. How about this, Meng Luo, log off and contact them. Bai Sei and Hua Jianrou will continue to stay here before the doctor finds them. I see. Maybe there will be a turn for the better in the middle. Yi Zichen frowned. If you sever their consciousness right now, you'll cause irreparable damage to them. Meng Luo also considered it for a long time, and felt that Yi Zichen's words made sense. Before the person was found, even if the connection was cut off, they would only be unconscious. It would be better to stay here and wait for the people on their side to find him. Then, they would consider whether to forcefully cut off the connection. Or perhaps it really was as Yi Zichen had said. There really was a turning point. Although the chances were slim, it was still worth looking forward to. According to her father, Bai Sei and Hua Jianrou's brains would definitely be damaged if they were to forcefully cut off the virtual network. The best-case scenario was amnesia. If it was a little more serious, it was very likely that they would never be able to wake up again in this lifetime. At most, they would be left with their lives. Okay, I'll support you. Meng Luo nodded and began the countdown. By the way, during this period, you can find some heavenly treasures for them to consume. Yi Zichen said. I want the kind that's full of life force. It might be of some use to them. I understand. Meng Luo's figure turned into white light and returned to reality from the second universe. Yi Zichen rubbed his chin as he looked towards Bai Sei and Hua Jianrou worriedly. The flame rat at the side clenched its fists tightly. Although he didn't know the outcome, he could roughly guess from Yi Zichen and Meng Luo's conversation. Hua Jianrou and Bai Sei had not regained consciousness yet. It's all my fault. The flame rat slapped himself. Yi Zichen grabbed his arm and shook his head. At this point, no amount of self-blame would be of any use. Even if he killed himself, Bai Sei and Hua Jianro wouldn't wake up. Han Qing, is there anyone like that among your friends? Yi Zichen asked. It doesn't have to be at the star level. A domain level that can condense a godhead is fine. Godhead? Han Qing didn't understand. To condense a martial soul, said Yi Zichen. Your Excellency, you're too worried. You have to be at least at the universe level to condense a martial soul, said Han Qing. I'm only at the star level. How could I possibly come into contact with a powerhouse of that level? I don't have anyone like that among my friends, but I can go and ask my other friends. Go and ask. As long as there was a chance, Yi Zichen had to fight for it. Hearing that, Han Qing took out a communication stone. That crystal was a method of communication in the second universe. The crystal flashed. It was obvious that he was already in contact. Meanwhile, Yi Zichen leaned against the wall and thought to himself, martial souls could only be condensed at the universe level. The godheads Yi Zichen and Bai Sei had condensed were martial souls. In the god race of the Milky Way, this sort of godhead could be condensed as soon as one became a deity. They didn't even need to reach the domain level. Just what was going on? How could the deities of the Milky Way have martial souls that only people at the universe level could? Also, there was Su Yan's godhead of life. From the looks of it, using life energy to heal was a very high-end healing method. It was hard to find even in the universe. How could this be? Yi Zichen let out a deep breath. Given his current knowledge, he had no way of explaining the cause of this phenomenon. However, he could sense that the Milky Way Master had left behind was very special. Regardless of whether it was a godhead or elemental power. In the Milky Way, some people below the level of deity could manipulate elemental power. In the universe, however, only those at the universe level could become controllers. The Milky Way Master had left behind was definitely not as simple as a model. Future deity, the flame rat suddenly spoke up. Don't worry, they'll definitely be fine. Yi Zichen thought that the flame rat was worried about Hua Jianro and Bai Sei, so he couldn't help but comfort it. Don't blame yourself too much right now. If you really hate yourself for being so weak back then use it as motivation to get revenge for them. Revenge? Why did they become like this? Isn't it all because of the natives here, or rather, that shitty Lord Fire behind them? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. At this point, I won't hide it from you guys. I've already met that Lord Fire a few times, and he even went to the real world to cause trouble for me. He went to our world. The flame rat was shocked. That's right, Yi Zichen nodded. I'm not too sure what method he used to get to the real world. In any case, he did go there, but I defeated him. Not long ago, I even went to his suspected lair, destroyed it, and destroyed one of his clones. Really? The flame rat's eyes widened, and its heart was filled with respect. Great deity, you really are something. Unfortunately, I didn't destroy his main body, Yi Zichen frowned. This guy will definitely be a disaster if I don't get rid of him. I've said everything I need to say. Shouldn't you guys tell me something you want to say? Chapter 2234. The flame rat and Qingyu walked out of the room. Seeing their expressions, Yi Zichen was certain that Qingyu had confessed to the flame rat. The situation had already reached this point. Everyone was in the same boat, there was nothing to hide between them. Of course, Yi Zichen did not mention Lord Fire's identity. He was actually the commander of the Land of Elements. The elemental lands had too many implications. Telling them would cause Yi Zichen to face many problems. This was all unnecessary trouble, and it was best not to mention it if possible. Moreover, even if he didn't mention this, it wouldn't affect their common enemy. As soon as Yi Zichen finished speaking, the flame rat looked at Qingyu instinctively, wanting to ask for her opinion. Did you really come into contact with Lord Fire? Qingyu bit her lips and was a little hesitant. That's right, My friend and I destroyed one of his doppelgangers. Yi Zichen shrugged. He should hate me to the core right now because I ruined his great plans. What is it? Qingyu asked. I can't say. Yi Zichen shrugged. The thing I ruined has nothing to do with what we're facing right now. If I tell you, it'll be troublesome for me, and it'll be troublesome for you too. Is it here or in reality? The flame rat asked. Reality. Yi Zichen didn't hide it. The flame rat was stunned. Yi Zichen's answer was far too shocking. Practical troubles. For the things here to affect reality, the future Almighty must have obtained a very important resource. The flame rat nodded in its heart and stopped thinking about it. Qingyu, tell the Almighty. The great God is a good person. You can trust him. The flame rat spoke up for Yi Zichen, while Qingyu also let out a deep sigh. Do you know about the fire spirit race? Bailey, what do the descendants of the fire spirits do? Yi Zichen asked. There are no records. Bailey said, I've already searched on the internet, but there's no record of it. I feel that it's very possible that it's a race unique to this universe. Of course, I will continue to search and inform you if there is any news. All right. Yi Zichen frowned. Bailey actually doesn't know about this race. One had to know that the information network of the machinery race was the most developed. Furthermore, Bailey was the prince of the race, so he knew a lot of things. How could he say that he had no records of the fire spirit race? I'm not sure, Yi Zichen answered honestly. Do you know about elemental spirits? Of course. Yi Zichen had a lot of authority when it came to elemental spirit. He himself had 5 types of elemental spirits, and the fire elemental spirit had absorbed one of them. Speaking of which, ever since the fire elemental sprite had been absorbed, Xiaohua had been in a state of deep sleep and had not woken up until now. Yi Zichen looked forward to the day he woke up. His awakening represented the rise of Yi Zichen's strength. Elemental spirits live in the land of elements. Qingyu bit her lip. Fire phoenixes are born in elemental lands. They are known as the fire god race. I know, Yi Zichen nodded. Our fire spirit race is similar to the fire god race. It's just that the fire god race is a phoenix, while we are pure humans, Qingyu said. If that's the case, Yi Zichen suddenly had a thought. The phoenix race lived in the elemental lands and was born from them. Then could the fire spirit race also be? Yes, our ancestors were also born from the land of elements. Qingyu took a deep breath and said the words that had been buried in her heart. This matter had been hidden in her heart for a long time. In the entire family, only she and her father knew about it. It wasn't her father who told her about it. When she was 12 years old, some naughty brats broke her head. At that time, the blood that flowed out was like lava. She was very afraid. The boiling lava scorched the ground black, but she was completely unharmed. Those naughty brats were also terrified. They shouted that she was a monster and ran away. Not long later, her memories of being a fire spirit race awakened. That allowed her to know that she was a fire spirit race. As for her fire spirit race bloodline, it came from her mother. Fire elemental spirits are divided into heavenly fire and earthly fire. Heavenly fire is the fire god, while earthly fire is the fire spirit. Most people only know about the fire god race, because the phoenix race has always lived in the land of elements. As long as the fire element exists in the land of elements, it is possible for the phoenix race to be born. Their race is huge and strong, which is why everyone knows about them. The fire spirit race will give birth to 12 maids when the earth fire elemental spirit is born. There will only be these 12 maids. There won't be any others in the future. Everything that had accumulated in Qingyu's heart surged out like a flood after she told Yi Zichen her identity. Yi Zichen listened to Qingyu's words in shock, while the flame rat pursed its lips. If Qingyu didn't tell him all this, he wouldn't have known. At the start, his expression was filled with shock, just like Yi Zichen's. The existence of the maids is actually to allow the fire elemental spirit to release the desires in his heart. Because the earth fire is inferior to the heavenly fire. The heavenly fire is rational and can control the desires in its heart. The earth fire is berserk and filled with the desires of a beast. When his desires are produced, the fire elemental spirit will become berserk. Berserk will bring about many disasters, which will be alleviated by the 12 maids. Qingyu blushed. She was still an underage girl, so she felt very embarrassed to say all this. Release desires? Yi Zichen frowned and looked at Qingyu in shock. If that's the case, doesn't that mean that she's a descendant of the earth elemental spirit? The earth elemental spirits will leave the land of elements after they reach adulthood. The maids will regain their freedom and can give birth like humans. These children are actually the children of the fire elemental spirits. When they give birth, the previous fire elemental spirit can pass on the power of their bloodline to the next generation. That way, they will also lose the fire elemental spirit bloodline. In other words, no matter how they reproduce, there will only be 12 fire elemental spirit. If someone dies along the way, the bloodline will not be passed on, and no new fire elemental spirits will be born, Qingyu continued. Hearing that, Yi Zichen frowned. Can I ask a question? Sure. If some of the maids aren't and don't give birth when they leave the land of elements, then they will become normal people, Qingyu said. Actually, the ancestors of the fire elemental spirit race were all normal people. Only the children they give birth to can be considered as true fire elemental spirit. Then that means... Yi Zichen gulped. It's the last of the 12 fire spirit clansmen who inherited my mother's bloodline. A true fire elemental spirit that possesses the bloodline of the earth fire elemental spirits. Chapter 2235. Finally, the fire spirit race. Qingyu's mind went blank after she told them everything. She didn't even know why she told Yi Zichen and company. Perhaps it was because she had been repressed for too long. She also wanted to have a place where she could vent her emotions. Yi Zichen frowned. There was a lot of information in Qingyu's words. Regardless of whether it was the fire spirit race or her true identity, they both contained a huge amount of information. Qingyu's words echoed in Yi Zichen's mind. Yi Zichen had been thinking about the fire elemental commander's goal in obtaining Qingyu. He was the commander of the heavenly fire elemental land. Although they were both fire, they were of opposing attribute. He couldn't be trying so hard to obtain Qingyu because he wanted her to give him a child, right? The fusion of heavenly fire and earthly fire? Judging from Yi Zichen's encounter with the fire elemental commander, he probably didn't want to capture Qingyu to continue his lineage. How do you pass down the power of your race's bloodline to your children? Yi Zichen frowned. I am not too sure either. Qingyu pursed her lips and blushed. I'm still young, I've never experienced it before. Sorry. Asking a budding girl this kind of question without rhyme or reason. It was indeed rather abrupt. Yi Zichen waved his hand with a coy smile and changed the way he asked. Can the inheritance of the bloodline only be passed down to the children? Of course it can only be passed down to one's own children. Qingyu bit her lips. I understand what you mean. You want to know if it's possible to give the power of the bloodline to others, right? I'm still not too sure about this. In my mother's memories, there are no records of this. Mother's memories. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and muttered what she just said. In other words, the inherited memories of your race can only be passed down to the previous generation? That's right, Qingyu nodded. After I awakened, the memories I received were only of my mother. There were no seniors of our clan. Passed down from generation to generation, but not from generation to generation. The inheritance of this race was rather special. Some ancient races with inherited memories would start from the memories of their ancestors and continue to pass it down. It would allow the descendants to slowly become stronger than the previous generation. It would also allow the history of the race to be preserved forever. But the fire spirit didn't do that. According to what Qingyu said, he believed that she definitely didn't know anything about the fire spirit race's patriarch. Even if he did, it would only be some superficial memories. As for the deeper layer, it was hard to know. He probably wouldn't be able to obtain any other information from her. Fortunately, it was enough for him to obtain information about the fire spirit race. Creak. At this moment, the old doctor walked out of Qing Hui's room. He looked well as he left his room. Elder Song, what do you think? Yi Zichen walked up, while Qingyu's eyes were filled with worry. Qing Hui was her only family. If something happened to him, she really didn't know how to face this world. His luck is not bad. The wound on his chest is not fatal. Elder Song smiled and said, I've already taken care of his injuries. His pulse is stable. If nothing goes wrong, he should recover in a few days. Thank you, Qingyu's tears flowed uncontrollably as she repeatedly thanked Elder Song. Elder Song had seen too many of such incidents. She nodded at Qingyu and the rest before walking toward Bai Sei and Hua Jianrou's room. I'll go check on them again. Sorry to trouble you, Yi Zichen said. Qingyu ran over to Qing Hui's room and carefully took care of him. Yi Zichen glanced at Qing Hui's ward. He felt like he might be able to get some useful information from Qing Hui if he could wake up. Easy. In the virtual network, Bar sent one message after another. Yi Zichen smiled when he saw the message. It must be because Bar and company were scared out of their wits when he was on the verge of death. Now that he saw that Yi Zichen's condition had improved, he quickly sent a message to ask about it. Flame Rat, stay here. Contact me if anything happens. I have to leave for a bit. Okay, the Flame Rat nodded. After logging out of the game, Yi Zichen, who was sitting on the sofa, slowly opened his eyes. Within the room, Bai Yin and Bai Yu clenched their fists tightly, while their eyes were filled with worry. Bar, on the other hand, paced around the room anxiously as he muttered inaudible words. What? My ass is on fire, Yi Zichen smiled. All of a sudden, everyone in the room looked towards him. Bar rushed up and punched him. F***ck. You nearly scared us to death just now. Haha, sorry, Yi Zichen chuckled. I got into a bit of an accident in the second universe. Fortunately, fortune rivaling the heavens, managed to turn the situation around. TSK, Bar twitched his mouth. If it wasn't because I gave you this pill, you would have been completely dead. Huh? Yi Zichen was shocked. Then, Bai Yin explained the situation to Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen didn't think that his situation would be so bad. Then, he patted Bar's shoulder heavily. Thanks. He was certain that the pill was not simple. Even so, Bar still fed him the pill without any hesitation. It was obvious how close they were. No need to be so courteous, Bar shrugged. I'm just rather curious. Why were you able to condense a martial soul at the star level? Just what happened? Tell me, I'll condense one as well. My dad will look at me in a different light when he sees it. Yi Zichen revealed a troubled expression. What he condensed was not a martial soul, but a godhead. It was a symbol unique to the gods in the Milky Way. It's fine if you can't tell me. Bar didn't pursue the matter. You're truly weird. You can condense a martial soul and control elemental powers. Dual cultivation, and you're even at the star level. You might even be invited to join the Association of Supreme Ones. Didn't you say that I couldn't get in earlier? Yi Zichen smiled. Who knew that you were so monstrous? Bar shrugged. There weren't many dual cultivators in the universe, not to mention controlling domains and condensing souls. If this news got out, even if he didn't become Yi Zichen's lab rat, those old guys in the universe would definitely fight to take him in as a disciple. Since you're fine, then I'm going to go online. Seriously? I finally found a boss just now, it's definitely gone now. Bar twitched his mouth. Go online. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen recalled Qingyu's purge plan. Don't. Yi Zichen grabbed Bar's arm. What is it? Bar looked at him in confusion. You can't bear to leave me, right? Ha! Yizichin ignored him and frowned. Don't you feel like your village is a bit strange? Chapter 2236. Weird. Our village? Bar was momentarily stunned, then rubbed his chin as he sat on the sofa. It really is a bit weird. How so? Yizichin asked. The people in our village are so ugly. Ai, you didn't see it. Oh my god, they're so ugly. Bar frowned and acted extremely exaggerated. I'm telling you, they're even uglier than my lion woman. F***ck off. Yizichin slapped Bar's head. Just what is this guy paying attention to? He's always paying attention to people's looks. So what if they're lion women? Although they don't look good, they're beautiful on the inside. I'm asking you something serious. I know, but I don't feel anything strange about our village. Bar also stopped fooling around and thought about the situation in the village. Bar stopped fooling around and thought back to the situation in the village. It was during this time that the natives in the village began to fight with us for resources. A portion of them are hostile towards us. That's very normal. It was indeed very normal according to what Bar said. Are there no natives keeping an eye on you? Yizichin frowned. No, Bar shook his head. You don't know, but our village is divided into several factions. Factions? Yizichin raised his eyebrows. Yeah. Bar said. The natives are a faction of our universe. Some of our people go and suck up to the natives and become their lackeys. There are also some natives who become our lackeys. Basically, it's very chaotic. They fight with each other for the resources around the village. I'm telling you, we've already started to contact other villages. It's pretty lively over there, Yizichin smiled. Yizichin could tell from Bar's words that the village was already in a mess. It is, Bar raised his eyebrows. What else do you think we should do? The natives are bullying us, so we humans have to band together. You're untalented, bro, am one of the 7 leaders of the Human Alliance. Amazing. Yizichin gave him a thumbs up. Bar was very pleased with himself. During this period of time, he had been doing quite well in the village. The main reason was because there weren't many second generations in the village. The Steele family was considered one of the top families in the village. With his abundant funds, he gradually gained a foothold in the village. It could be said that he had established his position in the village because of his wealth. Then will there be casualties when your groups fight each other? Asked Yizichin. I won't. Bar shook his head. Our village is actually quite harmonious in this aspect. We don't want to die, and they don't want to die either. After that, we agreed to play rock, paper, scissors to determine the winner. What? Yizichin was shocked. Rock, paper, scissors, what kind of deities lived in this village? How could they do something like this? Yes, it is rock, paper, scissors. This is the result of a joint discussion between the leaders of the human race and the Aborigines. Bar said, we were the ones who taught them rock, paper, scissors. They thought it was very reasonable, so they decided on it. We've also signed a treaty. We can fight among ourselves, but if there are outsiders, such as other villages that don't know what's good for them and come to touch our territory, we'll band together and get rid of them first. F***ck me. Bar's village was quite nice. At the very least, from what Yizichin heard, the villagers were very rational. Although using rock, paper, scissors to determine the winner was a bit rash. From the perspective of other aspects, their village could be considered to be harmonious. Yizichin was very envious of how united they were against outsiders. Actually, it's not just our village, the other villages are pretty much the same, Bar shrugged. What? Is there a huge conflict between your 2 villages? It's not a huge conflict, it's just that there's no way to coexist. Yizichin let out a deep sigh. From Bale's words, Yizichin had actually wondered whether their village would be as harmonious as it was without Commander Hua. There was still a large portion of people in the village that maintained their rationality. It was just that Commander Hua was rather good at brainwashing. Then are there any aborigines in your village that can use elemental power? Yizichin asked. Nope, Bar shook his head. Alright, then I understand. Go online. With that, Yizichin sat down on the sofa. Bar seemed to be in a hurry as well. Someone must have sent him a message in the virtual network to hurry him up. Be careful. Yizichin patted Bar's shoulder before going online. Of course, Bar's village shouldn't have any problems. Right now, the main problem was with his own village. Purge plan. Should I make a post on the forums to notify the others? Or should I say it in the game? Zichin Ji. Beiyu walked over with a cup of water. Hearing that, Yizichin patted her head. You're awake. Beiyu pursed her lips. I've troubled you. She was referring to the matter of her being kidnapped. Yizichin smiled. Why are you telling me all this? But I heard that you found a lot of experts to directly fight against the mercenary alliance. Beiyu bit her lips. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have gotten into a conflict with the mercenary alliance. Despite saying that, Beiyu still felt a sweet feeling in her heart. When she returned to her class, all of her classmates came to ask about her situation, and excitedly described how Yizichin suppressed the mercenary alliance's generals in order to save her. Everyone was talking at the same time, one after another. Unconscious, she didn't know the specific situation, but from the mouths of her classmates, she could roughly imagine a big scene. The mercenary alliance, sooner or later, I will become enemies with them. Yizichin squinted his eyes with a murderous glint. Regardless of their relationship with the Tsangyue galaxy, or the fact that they had kidnapped Beiyu and forcefully tried to pry into her memories, Yizichin couldn't tolerate or forgive them. Yizichin will note all of this down bit by bit. When the time comes, I'll return everything to them. Zichin Ji. Haha, don't be afraid. Patting Beiyu's little head, he said. Just focus on your studies and enrich your strength. Don't forget that you are the one who will protect planet Beiyu. I know. Beiyu clenched her fists, her eyes filled with determination. Future God. The future God. At that moment, Yizichin received a message from the flame rat in the virtual network. The urgency in the message made him, who was sitting on the sofa, feel a chill in his heart. Could it be that the natives had found their way here? Yizichin frowned, then directly connected to the virtual network. He logged into the game. Chapter 2237. Logged in. When Yizichin returned to the second universe, he was still at the equipment store he logged off from. Before Yizichin could react, then, he smelled a wisp of delicate fragrance. Future God. The sweet voice caused Yizichin to feel a chill down his spine. He tilted his head and saw Rouge Face Powder giggling as she looked at Yizichin with watery eyes. Is she future Big Bro's lover? Qingyu asked. I don't know, the flame rat shook his head. I heard Roger say that she's in a hurry. Rouge Face Powder, who refused to let go of Yizichin, tilted her head. Her face under the veil was a bit dark. I can hear it. During that period of time, Yizichin also pushed her hand away and maintained a suitable distance from her. This girl is getting bolder and bolder. Before, it was just verbal confessions, then flirting. Now, she's directly doing it. How did you get here? Yizichin told Chikano not to let anyone in, but Rouge Face Powder appeared in the equipment store. Sire, this girl wanted to force her way in, Chikano smiled wryly. I wanted to stop her, but I couldn't. Then, your friend said that he knows her, so I let her stay here. It's fine, I'm not blaming you, Zhao Xian smiled towards Chikano. Then, he sighed again and looked at the rouge and makeup. What exactly did you come here for? If there's anything important, then just contact me on your friend list. Why did you have to come here? Can't I miss you? Rouge Face Powder tilted her head. Even in front of so many people, she did not seem embarrassed at all. All right, I won't joke with you anymore. I'll just laugh. Sensing Yizichin's expression, Rouge Face Powder pursed her lips and shrugged. I came to save my two love rivals. Love rivals? Yizichin didn't understand. Aren't Bai Se and Hua Jianro about to die? Rouge Face Powder shrugged. Don't you think I'm too kind? I even know to help my love rivals, and didn't hit them when they're down. Remember to give me bonus points. As she spoke, Rouge Face Powder winked towards Yi Zichen and pointed playfully with 2 fingers. Ha! The Flame Rat and Yi Zichen couldn't help but be shocked. The 2 of them looked at each other, both of them equally shocked. You misunderstood, said Yi Zichen. He had nothing to do with Bai Se and Hua Jianro. They were just good friends. No matter how one looked at it, they did not seem like lovers. Yeah, Sister Ro is already engaged, the Flame Rat said. What do you know? Rouge narrowed her eyes. Do you know what will happen in the future? So what if they were engaged? Couldn't they break up after getting engaged? Don't say I didn't warn you. Stay away from that heartless man. He's not a good person. Hurting your sister Ro will also hurt you in the end. What nonsense are you talking about? The Flame Rat yelled. Tsk Rouge and Face Powder pouted. She was too lazy to deal with the slightly angry Flame Rat. Can I go in and have a look? I'm really here to save them. Sure. After gently knocking on the door, Elder Song spoke. Enter. As they entered the ward, Elder Song was still treating Bai Se and Hua Jianro's wounds. Wow, it's really tragic. Rouge and Face Powder hugged her shoulders and walked around Bai Se and Hua Jianro. She raised her hands and pinched their cheek. Rouge and Rouge seemed to be a little proud of themselves. I pinched you guys first this time. Little friend, this is... Elder Song was confused. This is my friend. She said she's going to treat them. With that, Yi Zichen spoke up. Rouge Powder, aren't you going to treat them? Then hurry up. Otherwise, don't waste Elder Song's time. I'm going to get jealous if you care so much for them. Rouge pouted unhappily. Stop messing around. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. All right. Rouge smiled, then placed her hands between Bai Se and Hua Jianro's eyebrows. All of a sudden, Rouge's entire aura changed. When he looked at her from behind, Yi Zichen felt like she was someone he knew. Su Yan. That's right. Her aura was practically the same as Su Yan's. How is that possible? The 2 of them were completely opposite ends of the spectrum. Su Yan had a gentle personality. Even though she was in love, she expressed it very subtly. She didn't say anything about her love, but everything she did was love. Yet, Rouge couldn't say anything, as if she wanted the whole world to know. Why do I have this sort of feeling? Just as Yi Zichen muttered, Rouge's hands suddenly glowed with a green light of life. Life force. Elder Song was shocked. Yi Zichen was also shocked. Rouge was currently using pure life force. Her entire body was emitting green life force. She was so pure that she seemed like an inviolable goddess. Not long later, new legs and arms began to grow out of Bai Se and Hua Jianro's severed arms and legs. They were originally lying on the bed with furrowed brows. As life force entered their bodies, they also began to relax. It really is life force. Oh my God, I didn't think that I would be able to see someone who can use life force at will in my lifetime. Elder Song couldn't help but sigh. About half an hour later, her neck and face were covered in a layer of sweat. She then removed her hand from Bai Se and Hua Jianro's forehead. After being infused with life force, Bai Se and Hua Jianro's expressions became calm, and there seemed to be a smile on their faces. Sister Yanji. The Flame Rat swallowed its saliva. Now you know how to call me sister? Rouge narrowed her eyes. You don't have to thank me. Just remember that you owe me a favor. When the time comes for you to return it, I will definitely return. Even if it is a mountain of blades or a sea of flames, I will not shirk my duty. The Flame Rat cupped his fist. All right, I'll remember what you said. Rouge nodded repeatedly, then walked in front of Yi Zichen, only to fall to the ground with a hand to her forehead. Sister Yanji. How fake. Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile wryly. As expected of the man I like. Rouge and Face Powder saw that she couldn't lie anymore, so she got up from the ground and clapped her fair hands. I've saved him, but it's not up to me when he'll wake up. How so? Yizichin frowned in confusion. I can assure you that they've already recovered. Rouge pointed at the two people on the bed. Rouge and Face Powder pointed at the two people on the hospital bed. Their minds are in a mess right now. They must have experienced something terrifying, so they sealed their minds and don't want to wake up. When they can wake up will depend on when they can undo the knot in their hearts. Suddenly, Rouge pressed her finger against Yizichin's lips. Don't thank me, you have to remember. You don't owe anyone in this world. If you want to talk about owing, it's them who owe you. Chapter 22:38. Their eyes met. As Yizichin stared into her eyes, he felt as if he could see sadness, resentment, hatred, despair, and a pitiful look. What a complicated gaze. Yizichin looked at Rouge's eyes silently. Why is she like this? Why does she have to have a pitiful look? Just what does she know? Just as Yizichin was about to ask, Rouge suddenly leapt into his arms with a tearful smile. I won't let you be alone anymore. Yizichin's eyes were filled with confusion as Rouge's words echoed in his ears. What is she saying? What won't let me be alone anymore? All of a sudden, a future without a future is not the future I want. Why? What did he do wrong? For the human race. I have a clear conscience for everything I've done. We are willing to follow you to the death. Destroy it. Since this universe has already decayed, then destroy it. Fight. Yizichin's mind suddenly went blank. Some memories that didn't belong to him flashed through his eyes like a movie. He didn't know what these scenes represented at all. He didn't have any impression of them, nor did he have anything to do with them. Yet it was these strange words that came out of nowhere. Yizichin couldn't help but tear up. He didn't know why he was crying. He clearly didn't see those people clearly. He was shedding tears. The pain in his chest was unbearable, as if he had lost too many precious things. What he wanted to hold in his hands, however, it was snatched away by someone else and torn to pieces right in front of him. Great deity? Suddenly, a soft voice rang out in Yizichin's ears. Yizichin slowly opened his eyes and noticed that he was lying on the bed. The flame rat and Meng Luo sat beside him. Yizichin looked around. Based on the layout, this should be his equipment shop. Why am I here? Yizichin looked around in confusion. He was actually still lying on the bed. You don't know? The flame rat exclaimed. You fainted on the ground without saying anything when you logged on yesterday. Nobody knows what happened to you. Did I faint? Yizichin frowned. Yes, when you first came up, the flame rat said. Where's Rouge and Face Powder? Yizichin shouted. Rouge. The flame rat looked confused again. Why are you looking for her? I'll call her on my friend list. She's not in the equipment shop? Yizichin frowned. Why is she here? The flame rat was confused. Didn't she use the light of recovery to regenerate by Jianrou and Hua Jianrou's arms and legs? For a moment the whole room was silent. The flame rat and Meng Luo stared at each other. The Almighty seems to have gone crazy. It can't be. The Almighty must be too tired and dreaming. Then why did you dream of Rouge and Face Powder? Does the Almighty really like Rouge and Face Powder? A lot of people are saying that Rouge and Face Powder have an affair. What do you mean by having an affair? Yizichin, who was on the bed, clearly heard their conversation. What did they mean? Yizichin hurriedly ran down from the bed and grabbed their shoulders. Rouge and Face Powder have never come here, right? Yeah. The flame rat nodded. It's always been us here. Why would Rouge and Face Powder come? Chicano! Yizichin shouted. Sire, did a monstrously beautiful woman appear in the shop? She's called Rouge and Face Powder. Did you let her in? Yizichin asked. Sire, I didn't let anyone in, Chicano shook his head. You told me not to let anyone in. What? Yizichin was shocked. Suddenly, Yi Zichen sat on the bed and held his head with his hands. What's going on? Rouge and face powder never came here. She fainted right after coming online. That's impossible. Yi Zichen saw rouge and face powder with his own eyes. Chicano said it himself as well. He didn't stop her when she forced her way in. How did Bai Jianrou and Hua Jianrou's legs and arms grow out? Yi Zichen questioned. I came to find you for that, the flame rat said. The flame rat said, when you went offline, Sister Hua and Sister Bai's arms and legs grew out for no reason. Elder Song said that they have sufficient life force in their bodies, and that life force has already completely healed them. Then why didn't they wake up? Elder Song said that it's because they sealed their consciousness and don't want to wake up. The flame rat scratched his head. Actually, he didn't really understand what that meant. How? What's going on with me? Yi Zichen covered his mouth and looked at the floor as he muttered in his heart. Great deity, the flame rat was a bit worried. Let me ask you guys something. Yi Zichen looked up at the flame rat. Hua Jianrou is engaged, right? Yeah, Rojia is engaged. Great deity, how did you know? All of a sudden, Yi Zichen's eyes opened wide, while his pupils contracted. He forcefully covered his mouth, as if he was about to vomit. You guys leave, let me have some peace. Oh, Meng Luo and the flame rat looked at each other and left the room. After they left, Meng Luo blinked in confusion. What's wrong with the future deity? Why did he have that sort of expression after finding out that Rojia is engaged? I don't know, the flame rat shook his head. Does the future deity like Rojia? Is that why he was so sad after finding out that Rojia is married? No way. Meng Luo was shocked. I'm not sure, the flame rat also shook his head. Yi Zichen's reaction was indeed a bit exaggerated when he found out that Hua Jianrou was married. A long silence ensued. It lingered in Yi Zichen's room. Rouge and Hua Jianrou never came. Bai Sei and Hua Jianrou's arms and legs grew out, and their bodies were filled with life force. Hua Jianrou was already engaged. Am I hallucinating, or did the flame rat and the others lose their memories? Yi Zichen sat in the room and muttered. Everything he experienced was so real. He didn't think that everything he experienced was a dream. What's more, if it really was a dream, then how was he going to explain Hua Jianrou's engagement? He didn't know about Hua Jianrou's engagement. When he found out, Rouge told him while arguing with the flame rat. Damn it! It would have been great if they had mentioned the name of the person they were engaged to. That way, it would have been even more convincing. No, Yi Zichen didn't want to think about it anymore. He had to confirm it. As for the way to confirm it, he had to ask the person in question. Chapter 2239. Trash. Accompanied by a loud bang, Mu Yi was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. He slammed heavily into the wall in the distance, blood spurting out uncontrollably. Mu Yi, who had been beaten to the point of vomiting blood, gritted his teeth and supported himself with both hands on the ground. He stood up shakily, not daring to reveal the slightest hint of anger in his eyes. He stood in place with his hands clasped. How on earth did you do things? You caused such a big commotion, yet you didn't catch her? In front of him stood an old man with white sideburns. His eyes were as red as fire, filled with killing intent. If anyone else saw this, they would be afraid. Based on the old man's gaze, no one would be surprised even if he killed Mu Yi. Mu Yi still lowered his head and said nothing. At this time, another middle-aged man walked out of the mansion with a flattering smile on his face and softly comforted him. Lord Hua, please calm down. Mu Yi has always done things satisfactorily. Something must have gone wrong this time. How could I not know? Lord Hua frowned. No, Lord Hua knows everything. Of course we all know this. Mu Yi has followed you for so long. Why don't you give him a chance to explain and let him redeem himself later? The middle-aged man said. Lord Hua's gaze did not soften. He did not attack again. Taking advantage of this time, the middle-aged man hurriedly gave Mu Yi a look, indicating that he could speak. Lord Hua, village chief, Mu Yi suppressed the surging blood in his chest, cupped his fists and answered respectfully. This subordinate's failure this time is all my fault. Who else could it be? Lord Hua frowned. This time you went to the Qing family, you mobilized thousands of people. Such a big battle, but a little girl actually escaped. This subordinate doesn't want to explain his fault. Mu Yi's eyes darkened, and he still cupped his fist. But this time, I've really succeeded, including the 2 fire users that you've mentioned, my lord. 2 people. Lord Hua frowned. That's right. Nu nodded. A man and a woman have been captured by this subordinate. This subordinate was prepared to come back and present them to you, but who would have thought that the man who was on the verge of death would suddenly attack this subordinate and many other subordinates? This subordinate was no match for him. How did he do it? Tell me in detail. Upon hearing this, Mu Yi recounted the situation in full detail. Lord Hua narrowed his eyes and carefully pondered Mu Yi's words. After a long time, Lord Hua nodded at Mu. I won't blame you this time. Thank you for your magnanimity. Mu cupped his fist. But you must remember this failure. I don't want to fail. I hope this will be the last time. Yes. Go, capture Qingyu as soon as possible. Also, I want those 2 fire users as well. Understood. Go. Also, bring a few more people for me. Mu Yi and the village chief respectfully left the room. Not long after they left, Mu Yi cupped his hands towards the village chief. Village chief, thank you for speaking up for me. If it weren't for you, I might have lost my life. Since when did the 2 of us become so distant? The village chief smiled at him. Don't forget, you were originally following me. Even though you are now working for Master Fire, I still cherish our old friendship. Village chief. Mu Yi's eyes were filled with gratitude. The village chief gestured for Mu Yi not to say anything else. He glanced at the room behind him and hurriedly pulled Mu Yi away. Master Fire has been asking for people more and more frequently. Yes. Mu Yi nodded. In the past, he only needed 1 every 10 days. Now, he needs 2 or 3 a day. Occasionally, there are those who can last longer, but they are few and far between. Ever since Mu Yi and the rest came into contact with Master Fire, therefore, Lord Fire needed humans to be his hosts. In the beginning, he only needed 1 person for half a month. Then, the number of people he needed increased. Looks like I have to capture Qingyu for Master Fire as soon as possible. Only then can I alleviate Master Fire's situation. Mu Yi frowned. Mu Yi, do you really intend to be the subordinate of this non-human fellow? The village chief suddenly narrowed his eyes and said, No matter what, he is not human, but we are. He is tormenting us humans. Are you really willing to continue working for him? Village chief. Mu Yi's expression was somewhat displeased. The middle-aged man smiled and patted his shoulder twice. Just pretend I didn't say anything. You wouldn't tell Master Fire what I just said, would you? I wouldn't, Mu Yi shook his head. But I hope you won't say such things in the future. It's not like you don't know Master Fire's abilities. I understand, the village chief nodded. If there's nothing else, then I'll be taking my leave. Mu Yi cupped his hands towards the village chief. At that moment, the village chief called out to him. How are you going to deal with the Qing family? I feel like we should bring forward the purge plan as soon as possible. Mu Yi frowned. Mu Yi frowned. It was my fault this time, but when the purge plan begins, I will not fail a second time. Mu Yi clenched his fist. His eyes were filled with resentment. If it wasn't for Yi Zichen's sudden attack, he would have received Master Fire's favor instead of a scolding. All of this had something to do with Yi Zichen. On the day of the purge plan, he would definitely capture Yi Zichen and Bai Sei and hand them over to Master Fire. And Qingyu this time, he wouldn't be threatened by a little girl who was still wet behind her ears. See, that's how simple your thinking is, said the village chief suddenly. What do you mean? You're going to capture that youth to avenge yourself, aren't you? Naturally. But he's not in our village, said the village chief. He has a territory outside. Even if the purge plan starts, we'll only be doing it for the village. We can't just run all the way to his territory. Mu-Yi nodded inwardly. The village chief was right. Yi Zichen had a territory, and more importantly, he had Han Qing as his subordinate. It would be very troublesome to deal with. Then what should I do? Mu-Yi wasn't good at thinking. He was good at doing things obediently. Whatever the higher-ups told him to do, he would just do it. We can use the villagers, smiled the village chief. Villagers! Didn't the Qing family get exterminated? If we don't deal with it properly, it'll be very troublesome for us, squinted the village chief. But if we use them well, it'll definitely be great news for you. Village chief, please explain, said Mu-Yi. Since you've followed me for so many years, I'll give you a few words. Divert the trouble, patted the village chief on the shoulder. Go back and think about it. Chapter 2240. The village chief left the manor with a chuckle. Mu-Yi was left behind, pondering over the village chief's last words. Divert the trouble? The trouble was definitely the Qing family. As for who to divert it to that brat, all of a sudden, Mu-Yi's eyes lit up. He hurriedly bowed towards the village chief's departing figure with eyes filled with gratitude. If he could divert the trouble to that brat, then everything would be fine. The Qing family had a very high reputation in the village. Now that they were suddenly exterminated, there would definitely be many villagers who wanted to avenge them. When that happened, all he had to do was incite them slightly, and the villagers would go and cause trouble for that guy. Even those who remained neutral or had some goodwill towards the intruder would definitely have their impression of the intruder plummet. It would also be easier to carry out the purge plan. The village chief's plan was killing two birds with one stone. It was truly amazing. Little did they know, just as Mu-Yi sighed at the village chief's brain, the village chief, who had already left, revealed a look of disdain and pity. I can't even use such a simple-minded person. What a pity, what a pity. With that, the village chief squinted his eyes and took a deep look at the manor behind him. How could I give you my village? Friends list. Rouge and makeup. At that moment, Yi Zichen had already sent her messages for half an hour, but he still hadn't received a reply. Whether it was in the game or in the virtual world, Yi Zichen left her messages. In the past, not to mention Yi Zichen taking the initiative to find her, even if Yi Zichen popped up in the group, she would run over to say a few words. Now that he contacted her, she actually didn't reply. This drastic change made Yi Zichen even more curious about his dream. Bai Feng is online, but I can't contact her. Yi Zichen frowned. He really wanted to discuss it with Bai Feng. She was a sovereign, so she was very knowledgeable. She might have some ideas. But before they parted, Bai Feng specifically mentioned that unless she contacted him first, he couldn't send her a message. Even if he bumped into her, he couldn't greet her. Although Yi Zichen didn't know why, he kept his promise. Yi Zichen was completely confused, since there was no one to discuss it with. Why didn't you ask me? Suddenly, Bailey appeared. Are you not used to using the optical computer? My existence is not only to help you log into the virtual network, I can also help you solve your problems. You. Yi Zichen sighed. If it was a normal question, Yi Zichen would naturally ask him. Even if he didn't know, his search efficiency was very high, and he could help Yi Zichen filter out useful information. This time, Yi Zichen had no clue at all. Even if Bailey went to search, he wouldn't know which direction to go. What's wrong with me? Bailey puffed out his chest. I'm a prince after all, so I'm quite knowledgeable. The Master of the Galaxy left me with you because he wanted me to bring you into the universe faster. You're no longer a lone ranger. There's no way out of being a lone wolf in the universe. You have to learn to discuss with others. Yi Zichen was speechless. Come on, ask me. If I know, I will tell you everything without reservation, Bailey said. Stop pretending. Yizichin raised his hand and smacked Bailey. It's not like you don't know about me. Why do you have to pretend? If you really know, then just say it. F***ck. Don't you humans always lower yourselves when you ask for help? You fake human, Bailey shouted. Yizichin sighed. My mind is in a mess right now. I really don't have the energy to mess around with you. If you really know, then say it. If you don't, then just leave me alone for a while. Fatigue appeared in Yizichin's eyes. He hadn't felt so troubled in a long time. He clearly saw it with his own eyes, but the flame rats actually said that he fainted. Yet, the dream was so real. What's more, he knew about Hua Jianrou's engagement. Have you ever thought that your time might have been tampered with? Suddenly, Bailey asked. Time? Yizichin frowned. Tampering with time. It wasn't like Yizichin had never encountered such a thing before. In the Milky Way, the time godhead existed. It was the time godhead that could change the flow of time. It could freeze, speed up, or go backwards. Both the caster and the caster could clearly feel the change in time. Yizichin had thought of that as well. However, this time, it wasn't similar to the time godhead at all. It has nothing to do with time. Yizichin waved his hand, then said to Bailey. Where did you get your confidence from? You think it's impossible with just the tip of the iceberg that you know about time? Bailey seemed to dislike Yizichin's confidence, so he retorted. Time is one of the special elements. Up until now, no one dares to say that they truly understand the mysteries of time. What makes you think that you do? I never said that I understand, Yizichin shook his head. If you don't understand, then how are you so sure that it has nothing to do with time? Bailey frowned as he stood on Yizichin's shoulder. I'll just say it like this. Let's take your current situation as an example. You experienced event A in the same plane of space. After experiencing it, the other party reversed time and made you experience event B. During this time, the other party kept your memories of event A, or rather, your uniqueness allowed you to keep your memories of event A. Is there such a possibility? Hearing that, Yizichin was stunned, then recalled Bailey's words. Time flows normally, then reverses. After the occurrence of event A, the spellcaster would go back in time at a specific time. Everything about event A remains the same, while event B continues. Is that possible? Yizichin asked. He didn't know much about time, so he couldn't make a judgment. It's possible. Bailey's answer was very certain. Then what is she going to do? Yizichin frowned. I have a rather shallow understanding of time as well. If she reverses time at a specific location, then the flow of time at other locations will be distorted. The reversal cannot last for too long. After the reversal, she still needs to return to normal time. She just needs to reverse the time of the entire universe, Bailey replied very casually. Bullshit. Yizichin couldn't help but shout. You know better than me how vast the universe is to reverse time in the entire universe. Even the supreme beings can't do it, right? Maybe. Bailey didn't deny Yizichin's thoughts. The supreme beings can't do it, but what about the elemental spirits? Can the time elemental spirits do it? Chapter 2241. The Time Elemental Fairy. One of the special elemental spirit. The flow of time in the universe was due to the existence of the time element, and the time elemental spirits were the rulers of time in the universe. Elemental spirits were very rare. In the entire first universe, only the Milky Way Lord and Yizichin's 5 celestial elemental fairies had been discovered. The time elemental sprite didn't even dare dream of possessing it. If Bailey didn't mention it, Yizichin wouldn't even dare to think about it. You mean to say Rouge and Face Powder possess a time elemental spirit? After a long while, Yizichin finally suppressed the shock in his heart and looked towards Bailey in disbelief. The time elemental fairy, such a special existence was actually obtained by humans? If that was the case, then Rouge and Face Powder would definitely not be an ordinary person in the first universe. However, there was no news of a time elemental fairy appearing in the first universe. That was to say, the rouge and makeup were like Yi Zichen's eyes, intentionally hiding the truth. Actually, Yi Zichen, who also had an elemental spirit, understood this. Elemental spirits were too special, and there were too many people who wanted to obtain them. Even overlords and paragons were among them. If the time elemental sprite was exposed, Rouge and Face Powder had the protection of a peak clan, so it was fine. If not, that would be a disaster for her. For the sake of elemental fairies, it wasn't impossible to kill her, or even her entire tribe. I didn't. It was clearly Bailey who brought up this point, but he rejected Yi Zichen's conjecture. I'm just giving you a direction. I hope you're not too narrow-minded. In this universe, anything can happen. When thinking about a problem, you have to consider everything. Sometimes, the most impossible reason was the truth of the matter. Of course, if it's an elemental spirit, I think it would need to be an adult at the very least. Hearing that, Yi Zichen nodded as well. Since Bailey mentioned this, Yi Zichen really did need to consider the problem more thoroughly. Is it possible that she's an elemental fairy? Huh. It was clear that Bailey was shocked by Yi Zichen's thoughts, since he hadn't even thought about it. You really dare to dream. Didn't you say that we have to think more holistically when considering a problem? Yi Zichen wasn't bickering. He truly felt that it was possible. Why did the elemental spirits in the elemental lands suddenly disappear? Were they all dead? That was a possibility, but Yi Zichen was more willing to believe that they were still alive. Qingyu had mentioned that in the memories of the fire spirit race, there was a fire spirit. The earth fire elemental spirits would leave the elemental lands after reaching adulthood. This also meant that when other elemental spirits entered adulthood, they could also leave the land of element. Where would they go after leaving? The entire universe was under the surveillance of the human virtual world group. There was no such special space that could not be detected by humans. Of course, he couldn't be so absolute. Based on probability, there was a higher chance that the elemental spirits lived in the human world. They blended into humans, became humans, and enjoyed human life. This was the only way to prevent humans from discovering it. Take the Fire Elemental Commander and the Fire Elemental Sprite Xiaohua as examples. Outside, Xiaohua was just like a human. There was almost no difference. The Fire Elemental Commander was also living among humans. Since that was the case, it was not impossible that Rouge and Face Powder were elemental spirits. There is such a possibility. I don't deny the possibility of your idea existing. Bailey pondered for a while and said, but this probability is really too small. It's still like what you said just now. Sometimes, the truth is what we think is impossible. Yi Zichen put what he learned into practice. You win. Bell spread his hands. Yi Zichen, on the other hand, frowned deeply. The question of the time elemental fairy lingered in his mind. If Rouge really was an elemental spirit, or possessed a time elemental spirit, then, what was the meaning of her words? You don't owe anybody. What exactly happened to make him say such a thing? And the images in his mind, what did it represent? Right, I suddenly thought of something. Bell, who was defeated by Yi Zichen's idea, suddenly spoke up. Elemental fairies have a certain level of perception between each other. Just tell your elemental fairy to come out and take a look to see whether or not time was twisted by the time elemental fairy. Are you sure? Yi Zichen was stunned. He wanted to find Xiaohua, but he remembered that he was still in a deep sleep. The other elemental spirits were too small and unreliable. For example, the thunder elemental sprite, Hypocrite. The lightning elemental fairy only knew how to weirdly chuckle with people every day, and wouldn't tell anyone what he was thinking. The water elemental fairy was too lazy to even move around every day, and wouldn't tell anyone what he was thinking. Lil Feng. After thinking about it, Yi Zichen felt like Lil Feng was a bit better. Even though she was rather shy, at least she was obedient and would do whatever she was told. Emperor Star, you were looking for me? The wind elemental fairy popped out with a bun on her head. She seemed to have grown a lot taller. You're already so tall, Yizichin raised his eyebrows. Yeah, it's all thanks to the elemental crystals you gave us. We all grew up really quickly, Lil Feng giggled. How could it not be? If it wasn't for Yizichin's good luck and his rather capable subordinates, he really would have been squeezed dry by the elemental fairies to death. Yeah, there was also the little phoenix. That guy ate no worse than the elemental fairies. You're almost a teenager as well? Yizichin raised his eyebrows. More or less, Lil Feng nodded. What did you call me out for? Lil Lei just said that since Brother Fire isn't here, you definitely didn't come looking for me for anything good. Huh? That heartless guy. Lightning elemental crystals were the most expensive. F***ck, this brat actually said shit like that. Yizichin felt like he should consider whether or not he should wean him and let him know who his daddy was. I came looking for you for some business, said Yizichin. No worries, just say it, said Lil Feng. Lil Feng was so sensible. He was so much better than the lightning elemental fairy. I want you to help me see if any other elemental fairies have been here. Yizichin rubbed his hands nervously. There are. You're talking about the time elemental fairy, right? Lil Feng nodded almost instantly. You just came and greeted us. What's wrong? Did something happen? Chapter 2242. Is this a solid piece of evidence? So fast. Lil Feng's reply completely shocked Yizichin. The time elemental spirit had arrived. He even greeted Xiaofeng and the others? When did this happen? About half an hour ago. Xiaofeng pursed his lips. We felt it when he first arrived, and then we communicated with the elemental thoughts. Why didn't you tell me? Asked Yizichin. We thought you knew. Little Feng blinked. As soon as that big sister arrived, you were hugging and hugging. Little Dian said she was your lover, and told us not to tell big sister Su Yen and big sister Su Luer when we got back. F***ck me, what the hell was this? These elemental spirits were really Little Lightning. Heh heh heh. The moment he appeared, Little Lightning grinned mischievously. Emperor Star, are you looking for me? Where did you learn all that? Yizichin frowned. I just learned it that way. Little Lightning shrugged his shoulders. Don't worry. I will absolutely not tell anyone about this. There is a promise between men. As he spoke, Little Lightning even reached out to fist bump with Yizichin. This black-bellied little guy. If Yizichin hadn't seen his sneaky smile, he would have fallen for it. The clash of fists just now was proof enough. After that, he used this to threaten me. Head get lost. Yizichin rolled his eyes at Little Lightning. Little Lightning shrugged sulkily, then burrowed back into Yizichin's arm. Before he left, he grinned evilly. Don't talk to this guy so much in the future. He's definitely going to lead you guys astray, said Yizichin. When I have time, I'll give him the entire prison. Aolo, Xiaofeng probably didn't even know what the prison was for. If she did, with her kind personality, she would definitely intercede for the electric elemental sprite. Emperor Star, if there's nothing else, I'll be heading back. Wait. Yizichin stopped him. Is that elemental fairy that big sister or not big sister? Alright, I understand. The wind elemental sprite returned to his arm. Yizichin also learned a few important pieces of information from the wind elemental fairy. Rouge and face powder possessed an elemental spirit. In that case, everything she said was worth paying attention to. Having a time elemental spirit meant that one could control time. It was very likely that she had seen something that should have happened in the future. It was really necessary. He wanted to find time to have a good talk with her and take a peek into the future. Dong, dong, dong. Someone knocked on the door. Yizichin stood up and opened the door, and saw Chicano standing outside. Chicano, what happened? Sir, the village chief is waiting outside. He said he wants to see you, Chicano replied. Village chief? When mentioning the village chief, There was no prefix in front, so it was naturally the village chief of this village. What was he doing here at this hour? He can't possibly not know that Yi Zichen is the owner of this shop, right? Or rather, he knew about it, but he still paid a visit. In their eyes, the first universe was an invader, and this was the territory of this invader. Interesting. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and smiled, then walked out of the room to the window that allowed him to see the main entrance. A middle-aged man stood at the entrance of the shop. He stood with his hands behind his back. There were no attendants around, and he couldn't sense the presence of anyone lying in ambush from afar. "Let him in," Yi Zichen said to Chikano, then directly entered the guest room of the shop. This place was mainly for clients. Some clients would provide some rather expensive equipment that needed to be discussed. These clients would all be invited here. Not long later, Chikano brought the village chief here. "Sir, the village chief is here." With that, the middle-aged man reached out his hand warmly and walked towards Yi Zichen. "Future sir, I have admired you for a long time. This humble one is Su Hu." "Future." Both of them cupped their hands. Chikano stayed by Yi Zichen's side. "I wonder, why did village chief Su Hu come to my place? It seems like our relationship isn't that good." Yi Zichen couldn't be bothered to feign civility, so he directly pulled them apart. "Ha ha ha!" Su Hu laughed. Perhaps he didn't expect Yi Zichen to be so straightforward. Lord Future is truly direct. "That's right, there is a huge misunderstanding between you deities and us native. The relationship between the two sides is like fire and water." "Deities?" Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. "I know that many people think that you are invaders, but I have never thought that way," Su Hu explained. "Heh!" Yi Zichen said in disdain. "I don't care if you believe me or not, I'm telling the truth. I came here to ask you something. Please tell me the truth." "This is very important," Su Hu said. "What is it? Is Qing Hui dead?" Su Hu squinted his eyes. "The Qing family was destroyed, but we didn't find Qing Hui's corpse. I reckon that you took him away, so I came to ask if he's still alive?" "Why are you asking this?" Yi Zichen looked at Su Hu with a dark gaze. "The Qing family is very famous in our village. The destruction of their clan will have a huge impact on the villagers. Mui asked me for a solution, and I gave him a plan," Su Hu said. "What plan?" "I can only tell you if Qing Hui is dead or alive after you tell me," Su Hu smiled. "Future Sir is a straightforward person, so I'm too lazy to beat around the bush. I came here to decide which side I'm on." "Side?" All of a sudden, Yi Zichen's frown deepened. Wasn't the entire village already under the control of the fire elemental commander? What side was there to talk about? Everything Mui did was under the orders of the village chief. Before seeing Su Hu, Yi Zichen had suspected that his body might have been taken over by the fire elemental commander. Only now did he confirm that Su Hu was still a human. "I understand Future Sir's concerns," Su Hu added. "Actually, Mui is one of my people. That was in the past. Ever since that Fire Lord came, he followed Fire Lord. As for me, I'm just a figurehead. Everything Mui does outside is still under my banner, but in fact, it's not my intention." "How can I trust you?" Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. "I can't prove myself," Su Hu's reply was still very straightforward. "I didn't come here to make you absolutely trust me. Sometimes, trust in person isn't as reliable as seeing what happens in the future. I don't want to know anything else. I just want to know if Qing Hui is dead or alive. Even if the future Lord told me, it wouldn't affect you much, right?" "That's right." Yi Zichen nodded. "Then I'll tell you the truth. He's still alive and very healthy. He'll recover in 3 days. Chapter 2243. Qing Hui couldn't hide it when he was alive. No one could truly make him let go of his hatred after his family was destroyed. He had to appear in everyone's line of sight. Even if he didn't raise his arms and shout, he had to use his own method to give the Qing family's heroic spirits an explanation. Since that's the case, Yizichin didn't bother hiding it and told them the truth. Of course, what he said wasn't the entire truth. Qing Hui's injuries were actually about to heal. With the help of makeup and elder song, he would wake up in less than half a day. Healed. Good. Good. Su Hu seemed to be even happier than Qingyu when he heard that Qing Hui was healed. He clenched his fist and hit it against his palm. Every muscle in his body trembled in excitement. Future Lord, Qing Hui can definitely be healed in 3 days, right? Su Hu confirmed once more. That's right, Yizichin nodded. That's great, the village is saved. Su Hu looked up at the ceiling with tears glistening in his eyes. Su Hu's expression was very strange to Yizichin. Yizichin naturally understood what he wanted to say. If there were no surprises, the entire village was in the hands of the fire elemental commander, and he, as the village head, had no power. He couldn't calm down when he saw the village being tormented. But did he need to be this happy when he heard that Qing Hui could be healed in 3 days? Future Lord. After a long while, Su Hu finally calmed himself down and looked at Yizichin. From some of his more subtle movements, Yizichin could tell that he was still nervous. His fingers were trembling. If possible, I feel like we can work together. Su Hu squinted his eyes. Right now, Qing Hui isn't dead and can still be healed. This has already far surpassed my imagination. If we succeed, I can definitely take back control of the village. When that happens, I can order the villagers to not have any ill intentions towards you. Can a village head like you control the thoughts of the villagers? What era was this? Everyone had their own will and thoughts. Even the existence of the fire elemental commander didn't cause the villagers to feel enmity towards the humans of the first universe. What's more, Su Hu could he make all the natives become friendly towards the humans of the first universe just by issuing a decree. Obviously, this was not realistic. Everyone had their own independent thoughts, and the only way to make them completely listen to one's will was to control them mentally. Of course, the result was that everyone was like the Walking Dead. Such humans were no better than livestock. I don't expect them to be friendly to us. It's fine as long as we can compete fairly, said Yizichin. I can promise you that. Su Hu nodded. From the current situation, Su Hu and Yizichin shared the same interests. He wanted to deal with the fire elemental commander. Su Hu wanted to take back his authority as village chief, while Yizichin wanted the fire elemental commander to die. If this guy didn't die, both the little phoenix in the land of elements and Yizichin's own safety were in danger. He would definitely plot against Yizichin and the others. Rather than nurturing a tiger, it would be better to get rid of him as soon as possible. Su Hu's words could not be completely believed. No one knew what he was planning by coming here. Take one step at a time. Counter soldiers with arms and water with earth. Alright, then tell me about your plan. Su Hu didn't leave the equipment shop until late at night. Before he left, he swore solemnly that Yizichin would believe everything he said. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. During this time, Hua Jianrou and Bai Sei's conditions had improved markedly. Unfortunately, they still showed no signs of waking up. Qing Hui had already recovered. After recovering, he was deeply grieved over the destruction of the Qing clan. If it weren't for the fact that Qingyu was still alive, Yizichin found it hard to imagine what would have happened to him. The equipment shop closed for business. Yizichin and the others had already collected all the equipment in their backpack. Then, they arrived at Yizichin City. If everything Su Hu said was true, then this shop in the middle of the village would become everyone's target. Leave as soon as possible, abandon the shop, and wait for the dust to settle before continuing business. That was the best solution. It was worth mentioning that Yizichin's territory was no longer small. Thanks to the tireless efforts of the general and a few soldiers, the city had reached a certain size. It wasn't exactly the size of a village, but it was at least half the size. Yizichin decided to rebuild the equipment shop here. He could use the shop's traffic to develop his business. In any case, the land was empty, and it was all his territory. He didn't need to worry about buying land. The flame rats still haven't returned? Yi Zichen sat in the city lord's manor with a deep frown. Today was the day he'd agreed on with Su Hu. In the past few days, the flame rats had acted as scouts and stayed in the village to check on the situation. They haven't. Meng Luo carefully wiped Hua Jianrou and Bai Sei's arms. Future great deity, will someone really come to attack us later? I'm not sure. Yi Zichen shook his head. He wasn't too sure about Su Hu's words. He looked into the room. Han Qing, Xian Zhengnan, and 2 other domain experts were all there. Qing Hui and Qing Yu were in the room as well. Thanks to Elder Song's miraculous treatment, Qing Hui's injuries had already healed. Chicano and the equipment shop's employees were there as well. The generals and guards of the city. It could be said that Yi Zichen had sent all of his forces here. Regardless of whether or not things would turn out as Su Hu said, he had to make ample preparations. Prevention is better than cure. Senior Qing Hui, if Mu Yi really brings people to attack, then I need you to stand out, Yi Zichen said. Of course, Qing Hui nodded. As time ticked by, everyone was waiting for the flame rat to send them a message. Late at night, the flame rat requested a video call. Yi Zichen, who had waited for far too long, quickly accepted. Great deity! How is it? The village is starting to move, the flame rat shouted in the video call, then turned the camera away. From the video call, it could be seen that a large number of natives, they hurriedly gathered towards the village square. The image in the video call was not clear, but Yi Zichen estimated that there were more than 3,000 people. Such a large number of natives with Yi Zichen's less than 100 guards, it wouldn't take long for them to be completely wiped out. Yi Zichen had thought that Mu Yi would only bring a few hundred more people. Who would have thought that he would do something like this? Chapter 2244. Thousands of natives. That was far beyond Yi Zichen's expectations. After a brief moment of shock, Yi Zichen's brows relaxed once more. The problem wasn't that bad. According to what Su Hu had said a few days ago, most of the people who'd come were people the Qing family owed a debt of gratitude, and had come to avenge Qing Hui. A small portion were Mu Yi's people, who were fanning the flames. So long as Qing Hui appeared, they'd switch sides, and the 2 of them would stand on his side. Senior Qing Hui, please take a look. Yi Zichen projected the video in front of everyone. When he saw the tidal wave of natives, even Han Qing couldn't help but gasp. He was indeed a star-level expert. But in the face of so many domain-level experts, the most he could do was stay out of trouble. What's more, there were star-level experts on Mu Yi's side as well. Last time, he'd only managed to escape after getting injured. This time, Mu Yi knew Han Qing was there. He'd definitely have other star-level experts follow him. He'd naturally deal with the star-level experts. Based on their current numbers, the natives wouldn't be able to stop them. Qing Hui looked at the video and frowned. Senior, do you recognize all these people? I can't see them clearly, Qing Hui shook his head. It's just too dark. I really can't tell. This. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. Qing Hui couldn't answer, so it was unknown whether these thousands of natives were friend or foe. Yi Zichen took a deep breath, then turned to the flame rat. Why are there so many people? I don't know either, the flame rat said solemnly. The flame rat's tone was also very solemn. These people came very suddenly, as if they had discussed it beforehand and suddenly appeared at a specific time. At a specific time. Suddenly appeared? Yi Zichen instantly frowned. Have you been keeping an eye on Mu Yi these past few days? Has he used Senior Qing Hui's name? No, the flame rat suddenly said. More people have come. Then, in the video, a large number of natives arrived from all directions. Even in the video, Yi Zichen could sense their murderous intent. All of them held weapons in their hands. They didn't go to the square, but to the exit of the village. I don't know these people, Qing Hui said, looking at the projection. Just now, many people had walked past the invisible flame rat. Qing Hui took a good look at their faces. You don't know him? Do you not know him, or do you not have any dealings with him, or have you never seen him before? I've never seen it before. Qing Hui frowned. Future God, someone's here again. The flame rat shouted in the video. Then, he pointed the camera at the other side. These people were all wearing warlock robes. There weren't many of them. There were about 300 of them. They were divided into 5 teams. The North, South, East, and West teams each had 80 people, leaving 10 people in the middle. Formation Master. Han Qing suddenly spoke up. My lord, these people are all array masters. Look at the array stones in their hands. They are preparing to set up an array. Set up a formation? Flame rat, how many people do we have in the village? Yi Zichen shouted with a frown. Quite a lot. The flame rat raised its eyebrows. Don't stay in the village anymore. Hurry up and come out. Yi Zichen shouted. What is it? The flame rat didn't understand. Just come out when I tell you to. What's with all this bullshit? Also, send out a loudspeaker in the game. Tell all the players in the village to leave the village as soon as possible. Yi Zichen frowned, then looked towards Meng Luo. Did you already make the post on the forum? We did. Meng Luo nodded. But no one believes us at all. They all said that I spread rumors and reported me, and even banned my forum account. F***ck. Yi Zichen clenched his fist. Bailey, use my account to post on the forum and spread the news of the Milky Way's novice village purge. With that, Yi Zichen directly clicked open the merchant shop. Ding future, warning. Players currently in the village, please leave the village as soon as possible. Future, warning. Players currently in the village, please leave the village as soon as possible. A total of 30 loudspeakers. Yi Zichen believed that regardless of whether they were in the novice village or not, they would be able to receive the message. If he was right, the natives in the village did not come for him, they came for the purge plan. Due to the urgency of the situation, he did not explain things too clearly. Ding, ding, ding. The moment the loudspeaker sounded out, Yi Zichen received several private messages. All of them were asking him what exactly happened. Yi Zichen directly entered the virtual network and replied in the group. Future, hurry up and tell your people to leave. The village is planning a purge. They want to kill everyone in our universe. Steelcase, what? Returning Windblade, future. Great deity, are you serious? This sort of joke isn't funny at all. Jingling, kill them all? Blue Shield Family 0713. Really? Future, will what I say be false? Future, although I'm not too sure, I trust my instincts. Just now, the flame rat saw a large number of formation masters appear, and the natives all held weapons. Future, I suggest you guys leave. Future, I've interacted with the natives here. They mentioned the purge plan to me. Tianhai, we can't leave. Future, why? Steelcase, the exit of the village has already been sealed. Flame rat, great deity, I can't leave. Jingling, yeah, we can't leave anymore. Gulu, this is terrible. Future, why can't you guys leave? Don't tell me that you're all in the village. Tianhai, we should all be there. Steelcase, all of our Steelcase clansmen are here. Returning Windblade, our Jiang Shan is here as well. Jingling, ditto. Gulu, ditto. Blue Shield Family 0713, ditto. The entire group chat was filled with a heavy atmosphere. Future, log off. Steelcase, I can't log off. I just tried. Tianhai, yeah, me too. The others all replied the same. Yi Zichen glared. Future, why? Why are you all in this village at this time? Why can't you log off? Tianhai, this might have something to do with a mission we accepted. Tianhai, everyone, accept it too. Stilkek, I've answered it. Our people accepted it. The others in the group all agreed. Yi Zichen's heart tensed up. Future, just what kind of mission is it? It actually can't log off? Tianhai, Flame Imprint. Chapter 2245. Flame Imprint. A large-scale mission posted on the village's bulletin board half a day ago. The mission was very simple and did not require the player to do anything. Even if it was a simple errand mission, the player still needed to find a specific NPC to talk to. This mission, there was no need to fight monsters, no need to run errands. All the player had to do was to be online at a specific time and receive a generous reward after the mission ended. The reward content: 3 million star coins and a purple-grade weapon. Actually, the star coins were still okay, but purple-grade equipment had yet to appear. However, the mission this time was to provide a purple-grade weapon. The entire village was practically in an uproar. The players passed the mission content to each other, and a large number of players came to the newbie village's bulletin board to accept the mission. If there were no surprises, more than 90% of the players accepted the bulletin board mission. Yi Zichen couldn't help but let out a long sigh when he saw the messages in the group chat. Just what's going on? They're clearly so smart normally, why did they suddenly become collectively stupid? Future, do you guys really believe it? Future, do you guys think it's possible for a pie to fall from the sky? Ignoring the purple-grade weapon, just 3 million star coins. There are tens of millions of players in the newbie village, 3 million per person. How many star coins would that be? Future, do you really think the village's finances can provide it? Future, the Virtual World Corporation already clarified to us that this is the second universe, not the virtual data of a game, so they can send as much as they want. Tianhai, how could we not know? Steelcase, when I found out about this, I also ordered everyone not to accept the mission easily, but Blue Shield Family 0713. But what? Just say it. Blue Shield Family 0713. To put it bluntly, they are our people, but they didn't listen to us completely. Their greed had led them to this state. Jingling, yes. Returning Windblade. I also said it, but the people below didn't listen. Returning Windblade. The moment the purple-grade weapon appeared, everyone acted as if they were injected with the blood of the beast ancestor. All of them wanted to accept it, and couldn't be stopped at all. Gulu. This is a chain reaction. Gulu. It doesn't matter if everyone doesn't accept it. If someone accepts it, then everyone else will feel like they lost out. Also, I don't know who in the universe instilled the idea that danger and opportunity coexist. Sometimes you have to give it your all. Gulu. More importantly, a lot of people feel like it's a loophole. Gulu. At that time, it will be too late to regret. Future. Then why did you guys accept it? You're talking so clearly here, but in the end, you still accepted the mission. Returning Windblade. You're being wronged. Returning Windblade. I didn't accept it. It was someone in our guild who accepted it, so the others automatically accepted it. Tianhai, I can't cancel it. I can't give up. Gulu. Even if I leave the family, the mission is still accepted. Jingling. Time's up, forcefully summoning back to the village. Stilkek, yes. F***CK. Yi Zichen's eyelids twitched. You can actually do that? Once a member of the guild accepted the quest, the entire guild would passively accept the quest and would be forcefully teleported back to the village at the designated time. Meng Luo. Yi Zichen looked to the side and saw that Meng Luo had already disappeared from Yi Zichen's room. Hua Jianro and Bai Sei were nowhere to be seen. When did they disappear? Just now, Xian Jingnan said. Hearing that, Yi Zichen let out a deep sigh. There were also people in Nebula who accepted the Flame Imprint mission. Meng Luo, Guru. Meng Luo. Guru, I came to the beginner's village. Meng Luo. Sister Ro and Sister Bai Yu are both here. Tianhai, Bai Yu? Tianhai. Meng Luo, is that the White Emperor's only daughter, Bai Yu? Returning Windblade. F***CK, is this for real? Is the White Emperor's woman in our village? Future, alright. Seeing that these people were actually shocked by Yu's identity, Yizichin really didn't know where they got the time or the mood to do so. Just as the blades of the natives were about to chop down on their necks. Future, members of the group, hurry up and gather the members of the guild and family. Gather your forces together and wait for the right time. Tianhai, no problem. Coordinates, returning Windblade. Coordinates, all the members of the group sent their coordinates. Yizichin couldn't help but facepalm as he looked at the screen full of coordinate. Future, go to Meng Luo's coordinate. Future, it's not convenient for her to be there. Tianhai, got it? Returning Windblade. Got it? Stillkek, got it? Seeing that all the members of the group had replied, Yizichin let out a deep sigh and sat down on a chair in the city lord's manor. Sire, what should we do? Yizichin could feel that the situation seemed to be very bad from his gaze. As Yizichin's #1 general, Han Qing asked. Wait. Yizichin raised his hand towards the group, then frowned. Bailey, how is it? You people from the first universe are too barbaric. Bailey stood on Yizichin's shoulder. All of the posts I sent were insulting comments. They all said that I was trying to scare them, but no one paid any attention to what I said. So it's like that. Yizichin let out a long sigh. These people are still reporting me. I've already hacked into the back-end network of the forum and blocked all of the reports. However, with the Virtual World Corporation's technology, they'll probably notice it soon. When that happens, all of our posts and accounts will be banned. Bailey clenched his teeth and shouted. He, the prince of the machine race, was actually being insulted. How could he endure that? Future at all members future. Any of you in the first universe know a lord or sovereign level expert? Hurry up and contact them and tell them about your current situation. Future. Get the Virtual World Corporation to send out a conscription order. Future. Players from the surrounding villages come to help. Tianhai. I'm already contacting them. Jingling. Contacting them. Returning Windblade. Oh my god, just who am I in the same village with? Do you all know a lord or sovereign? Steelcase. They're all major powers. Gulu. I contacted the person in charge. The person in charge told me to provide evidence. Damn it. Is he doubting the truth of my words? Blue Shield Family 0713. Our person in charge said the same thing. Flame Rat, I told my dad. He said that he just went to the Virtual World Corporation a few days ago. It's best not to trouble them if possible, it's hard to return a favor. Meng Luo, my dad already went to the Virtual World Corporation. While everyone was nervously contacting the connections they could use, Yizichin clenched his fist. Our post was deleted. The forum was banned. Bailey shouted. Yizichin felt like his head was about to explode. At that moment, Meng Luo. The mission ended? Jingling, I received the weapon. What's going on? Wasn't it supposed to be a purge? Tianhai. Future. Chapter 2246. Mission completed? Yizichin couldn't help but be stunned when he saw the messages in the Milky Way chat group. Future. Mission completed? Future. Purple tier equipment in my hands? Meng Luo, yeah. Returning Windblade. What? It was a false alarm. Jingling. Wow, a purple tier equipment. So cool, everyone in the village has one. Gulu, don't be too happy. Gulu, I think there's a problem. Tianhai, that's right. It's best to be careful. The mission was completed so suddenly. How could it be completed so suddenly? According to the time, Blue Shield Clan 0713, the weapon is indeed in our hands. The members of the group sent their weapons to the group. When Yizichin saw the purple glow of the weapons, his brows grew darker and darker. What the hell was he up to? The message sent to Sue, who had not received any response so far. Future. You guys better be careful. This message was sent out, but there was no reply for a long time. At the start, Yizichin thought that it was because they had just gotten a purple tier weapon, so he was completely immersed in joy. Soon, he felt that something was wrong. More than 10 minutes had passed. No matter how much they liked each other, it shouldn't be to the extent that no one had the time to send a message. In the group chat, the @group was still like a stone that had sunk into the ocean. Yi Zichen quickly clicked open the in-game private message between Meng Luo and the Flame Rat. The message was sent. There was still no reply. Little did they know Meng Luo. A purple tier weapons attack must be really high. Tianhai, I think so. It's just that the game's full digitization has disappeared, so I can't see the specific values. Tianhai, I think it's a purple tier weapon. Tianhai, it's about the same as a 7th layer domain weapon. Jingling, wow, it's that high? Then we'll be able to level up faster by killing monsters. Blue Shield Clan 0713. Maybe the upper management of the Virtual World Corporation wants to increase our competitiveness with the natives here and specially issued such a mission. Steelcase, is that even possible? Stilkek, I've asked other friends. None of their villages have this kind of announcement mission. Returning Windblade, me too. Returning Windblade, it's strange. I was just talking to my friends about the purple tier equipment and suddenly they stopped replying. Gulu, me too. Gulu, I sent them a message but they didn't reply. Returning Windblade. Haha, could it be that they are jealous that we have a purple tier equipment and they don't? Jingling, no one replied to me either. Flame Rat, speaking of which, where did the future Almighty go? I haven't seen any messages from him since just now. Meng Luo, yeah, the Almighty hasn't spoken in a long time. Returning Windblade, even the Almighty is jealous. Stilkirk was speechless. Jingling, Gulu, Blue Shield Clan 0713, return Windblade, you really dare to dream. Do you think it's possible? More than 70% of the weapons, armor, and accessories in the village came from the future god. Would he be jealous over a purple tier equipment? Returning Windblade, haha, I'm just kidding. Jingling, that's true, but if everyone has purple tier equipment, it will definitely affect God's business in the future. If he really wanted to use a purple tier weapon, he could use a star tier weapon. Gulu, yes. Hearing that, Meng Luo and the Flame Rat both sent Yi Zichen a private message. What's more, Meng Luo said that if Yi Zichen wanted a purple tier equipment, then Yi Zichen wouldn't mind. She could give him her weapon. However, none of these messages received any response. It was as if Yi Zichen had already left the game and the virtual network. Perhaps no one took all of this to heart. After they obtained the weapons, they all sent messages to the people they contacted and didn't bother them. Everyone looked at the purple tier weapon in their hands happily. Tianhai, oh no! Suddenly, Tianhai sent a message in the group. After sending the message, he intentionally waited a few minutes before speaking to everyone. He had always felt that this mission was strange. After Yi Zichen mentioned the purge, he became even more suspicious of this mission. Even though he had just completed the mission, the first thing he did after obtaining the purple tier weapon was to give it to his trusted aide instead of using it himself. Then, his friends in the virtual network mysteriously disconnected. Returning Windblade's jealousy might be valid with other people, but it definitely wouldn't be valid with Tianhai. What's more, the message he just sent in the group also proved his thoughts. Meng Luo, what is it? Tianhai, friends, the future might have been right. We were tricked. Tianhai, I advise you guys to throw away your weapons. Tianhai, there's a problem with that weapon. Tianhai, there's also a problem with our virtual network. Returning Windblade, what do you mean? Old brother Tianhai, don't scare us here. We're still young. Jingling, I have the same suspicions as well. Jingling, Tianhai, is our virtual network blocked? Our messages can't be sent out, and the messages from the outside world can't be sent in. Tianhai, that's right. If you don't believe me, you can send a message in the group. I sent a message in the virtual network group just now, but none of you replied. Before this, I even tried to log into the Virtual World Corporation's official website, but it kept loading, but I couldn't log in at all. The surrounding leaders all turned silent. Approximately 3 minutes later, although no one said anything, from the heavy gazes of both sides, it was clear that they all had their own thoughts. If Tianhai said it alone, it might be a lie. Everyone tried it themselves, but they still couldn't get any result. Then, the problem was serious. You guys aren't purposely playing me, right? Returning Windblade smiled. We're all friends, there's no need to do that, right? Jingling. Do you think that's possible? Green Valley. This is so bad. I actually sent a message to Lord not to worry when I got the weapon. Stilkek. I also sent a message to Responsible. Blue Shield Family 0713. The village cut off our virtual network? Returning Windblade. And no. Returning Windblade. Friends, this joke isn't funny at all. You should just accept it. Jingling. Most importantly, we don't know how they cut it off. Tianhai, Purple Tear. Tianhai looked at everyone with a heavy gaze. Tianhai. This weapon should be the culprit. It's like a virus. After it entered our hands, it cut off the network with lightning speed. As he spoke, Tianhai's brows sank. He gripped the weapon for a moment before throwing it away. Still, the network was cut off. Returning Windblade. Hey, stop messing around. Returning Windblade. The Virtual World Corporation's virtual network. When did these natives have this kind of technology to break into the Virtual World Corporation's network? Do they understand this? Tianhai. What if someone defected to the enemy? Chapter 2247. Defecting to the enemy. The people of Universe 1 were showing goodwill to the natives? The Virtual World Corporation's virtual network was the crystallization of countless predecessors' wisdom. Right now, their situation was not as simple as the network being blocked. If the network was blocked, everyone's consciousness should be disconnected from the network and returned to Universe 1. At this moment, they were still standing here. This meant that the network was still in operation. From the inside or the outside? Jingling frowned and asked Sky C. Outside. Sky C's answer was very certain. Oh, of course. I'm referring to the outside we are in. In other words, the internal department of the Virtual World Corporation separated us from each other. There's a traitor in the Virtual World Corporation? Hui Fengren was shocked. And it has to be the upper management. Sky C's eyes darkened. If it's a low-level employee, there should be no way to do this. The upper management. It should at least be a king. Gu Lu said. How is that possible? Steelcase also frowned. In Universe 1, this level also has a decisive position, not to mention the upper management of the Virtual World Corporation. Everyone has their own ambitions. Sky C's face darkened, his eyes filled with seriousness. The current situation was very bad for them. What was not said in the group chat was not wrong, they were preparing for the purge plan. Sky C still had doubts in his heart. If it was purge, why did they deliberately let the mission be completed? Looking around. In an instant, Sky C's brows sank. After obtaining the purple tier weapons, the surrounding players of Universe 1 were filled with excitement and excitement. In this mood, they had already forgotten awareness of danger. If it was not completed, there might be many people here who were still vigilant. Now that the purple tier weapons were in their hands, the doubts and vigilance in everyone's hearts disappeared. If the natives suddenly attacked, boom! Suddenly, there was a loud explosion in the distance. The people in the village looked forward and saw a mushroom-like red cloud shrouding the sky and earth. The weapons exploded. The weapons exploded. Someone shouted in the distance. Sky C hurriedly shouted at Steelcase and the others. Quickly throw the weapons out. Without any hesitation, the leaders threw the weapons to the ground, no reluctance or regret in their eyes. They were very clear what was more important to them. The leaders could give up, but that didn't mean their subordinates could do the same. Even with Tianhai's order, there were still many people who tightly held onto their weapons, unwilling to let go of their purple-tier weapons. Boom, 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 more and more booms rang out. This had caused quite a bit of panic in the village. Up until now, no one had been able to determine how these weapons had exploded. I found out. The flame rat hurried over and said, "Weapons cannot be bound, otherwise they will explode." Those exploding weapons all exploded after they were bound to the user. The moment they exploded, the user was swallowed up, leaving nothing behind. How ruthless! Knowing this result, the leaders couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. A purple-tier weapon was extremely precious. In order to prevent it from being stolen, everyone bound their weapons when they obtained them. If all the people here were bound to him, there was no need for the natives to act. The humans of the first universe would all die. We have to quickly inform the others. Gulu frowned. That's right. Blue Shield Family 0713 was a simple and honest fatty. When Gulu finished speaking, he nodded. It doesn't matter if it's our people or not. At least everyone is from the first universe. If we want to destroy the natives' plan, we need everyone to work together. Who will send it? Returning Windblade said. This kind of words needed to be sent by a person of virtue and prestige. Otherwise, even if they said it, no one would acknowledge it. Don't worry about this, everyone send it. Tian Hai hesitated for a while before saying, if we all send the message, I believe they will understand the seriousness of the problem. As soon as he finished speaking, Gulu, there is a problem with the purple-tier weapons. Please do not bind them, otherwise they will explode. This is all a conspiracy. Please do not bind your weapons. Jingling, please do not bind your weapons. Stilkek, do not bind your weapons. Almost instantly, the leaders of the several parties began to send out messages through their speakers. Speaking of which, it was strange their network seemed to be sealed in a designated area, and the people outside could still hear the loudspeaker. They saw that the leaders of the several parties were sending similar messages. Thinking back to the previous explosion, many people looked at the weapons in their hands with a blank expression. They didn't dare to confirm the authenticity of these words. However, they didn't rush to bind their weapons. The situation seems to be under control. Flame Rat looked around. After the message was sent, the sound of the explosion disappeared. No one is an idiot, Jingling said. Jingling said, don't be fooled by their low levels. The people who still dare to come here despite the dangers of the virtual world group are all smart people. Regardless of whether they really believe us or not, they definitely won't easily try to bind their weapons. However, Tian Hai's brows didn't relax. I'm just afraid that some people think they're smart. Tian Hai frowned. After reaching the domain level, those who walked step by step will have a lot of thoughts. The stability of the current situation is what they are suspicious of. If someone... Before Tian Hai could finish speaking, the game suddenly sounded, Overlord's Might. Ha ha ha, bullshit. Overlord's Might. You guys are in cahoots. If you don't want us to bind our weapons, take advantage of the chaos to steal them. Overlord's Might. Guys, don't believe them. Overlord's Might. These people are just trying to steal our weapons. I've already tested it myself. It won't explode when it's bound. As soon as the message was sent, Overlord Might's eyes were filled with mockery. Of course, he didn't try to bind it. He was no fool. What he said was just for fun. It could also be considered as a small experiment. If what Tian Hai and the others said was true, that the binding would cause an explosion, then this place would definitely be very lively. This way, he could also confirm it. As for those who died, he didn't care. Who could they blame if they died because they were stupid? Shit. In an instant, the expressions of the people of Sky Sea changed drastically. How could there still be someone messing things up at this time? Is it him? Meng Luo suddenly said, Big Sister Baiyu has looked into him. His father is a small leader in the Virtual World Corporation and is a king-ranked martial artist. These are not important. Tian Hai opened his mouth and began typing into the speaker. Everyone, please don't act recklessly. The Sky Sea Supreme. But before the message could be completely entered, it was already too late. Chapter 2248. Boom, boom, boom. The entire village was engulfed in crimson fire clouds. Countless players of the Universe One bound their weapons under Overlord Might's instigation. There were no exceptions, all of them exploded. Ha ha ha! Overlord Might couldn't help but laugh amidst the explosions. Look, it's true. They exploded after binding their weapons. Our people mustn't bind their weapons. These idiots, they'll believe anything you say. Young Master Wei, a member of the Overlord Alliance, spoke up. What? Overlord Might frowned. What you did just now, wasn't that a bit? Overlord Azure Willow frowned and stopped himself. What did I do? They deserved to explode. Hegemon Might did not show any signs of regret for what he had just done. Their brains aren't good. Greed killed them, and you're blaming me? Overlord Azure Willow didn't reply, but it was clear from his expression that he didn't approve of Overlord Might's actions. He had only entered the game not long ago. He also found out that a few of his good friends had gone to Blue River Planet under Overlord Might's orders. It seemed like they were there to deal with a person called Yi Zichen in real life, which was the future of the game. He didn't like any of this. Unfortunately, he was just a subordinate, so his dislike was useless against Overlord Might. However, he always believed in one thing: Overlord Might would get into trouble sooner or later, and this was just the beginning. A few speakers. In less than 5 minutes, the rumbling did not stop. The deafening explosions caused everyone's eardrums to hurt. Overlord Azure Willow estimated that at least 1 million humans from the Universe One had died from the consecutive explosions. 1 million. That wasn't a small number. Those who could enter the game were all legal citizens of the universe. Such a large number of deaths would be condemned by the Society of Supremes. But from the looks of it, Overlord Might didn't seem to realize the severity of the situation. He continued to laugh, and many people around him also laughed along with him. Overlord Azure Willow could only sigh at such a sick mentality. The entire village was in a mess. The explosions connected with each other, causing the flames to connect together. In some densely populated areas, when the people around them exploded, they were also caught up in it. Jingling, Overlord Might. Stillkirk, do you know what you are doing, Overlord Might? Gulu, we already said that we can't bind it. Why did you deliberately leak false information? Do you feel happy when you see your compatriots die? The leaders on Yi Zichen's side all rebuked him angrily. Seeing their universe compatriots die because of Hegemon Might's words, they felt as if their hearts were being cut by a knife. Overlord Might, you're blaming me now? Overlord's Might, you're blaming me for your lack of brains? If they want to blame someone, they can only blame their own greed. Who told them not to trust you? Overlord Might, haha, serves him right. Returning Windblade, we will report your actions to the Supreme Association. Wait for the association's judgment. Gulu, I will also report with my real name. Overlord Wei, do whatever you want. As if I'd be afraid. Do you know who my father is? Reporting me? Interesting. Do you think your report letter can be sent out from the virtual world? This was the fearlessness of an overlord. Any report had to go through the virtual network, and his father held a high position in the Virtual World Corporation. Even if someone reported him, his father could make things difficult for him. He had been tyrannical many times. The number of people who wanted to report him could go around an entire galaxy. Wasn't he still perfectly fine right now? This was power and status. He wasn't afraid of that at all. Tisk, seeing that no one sent a message, Overlord Wei twitched his mouth in disdain. He only knows how to talk big. So arrogant. Returning Windblade clenched his fist. Just what does his father do? Can you drag his father down? I can tell my father, said Meng Luo. I'll tell my father as well, said the Flame Rat. This guy really pisses me off. Several million people. He actually doesn't care about them at all. What a deceptive child, Blue Shield Family 0713 sighed. They didn't know Meng Luo and the Flame Rat's real identity. However, Bai Yu was the White Emperor's daughter. Those who were able to hang out with Bai Yu definitely had some influential families in the universe. Even Overlord Wei's father was an overlord. Facing the threat of several big shots, he probably didn't dare to indulge Overlord Wei's foolish son. Let's not talk about this. As the big brother, Tianhai pulled the topic back. We'll talk about Overlord Wei later. What we need to face now is how to get out. Hearing this, everyone shivered. They were currently imprisoned and didn't have the time to care about others. I've already sent people to the village entrance, Tianhai said. Everyone's eyes revealed concern. We can't get out. After a while, Tianhai shook his head. There are many natives stationed around the village. Invisibility scrolls can make them unable to see us, but we also have no way of leaving the village. There's a seal around the village. Are we really going to be purged? Returning Wind Blade asked nervously. Most likely. Tianhai nodded. My subordinates reported that over 60% of the villagers have been mobilized. They all have cold expressions and weapons in their hands. They've guarded every pass around the village. We have nowhere to hide. This, everyone frowned. We should have a huge advantage in terms of numbers. Jing Ling calmly said, there are over 10 million humans in the village. Even if 30% of them died in the explosion, we still have 7 million left. That's true, but the problem is, they aren't an army. Tianhai's meaning was easy to understand. Even though they had a lot of people, they were all fighting for themselves. If everyone followed the command of one person, unafraid of death, then they would definitely win. The problem was, they wouldn't. Thus, these 7 million people were just a motley crew. Not only was their numbers not their advantage, it would become an irreversible disadvantage. This disadvantage came from their morale. Even though they were fighting for themselves, when they saw people dying in front of them, fear would grow in their hearts. The higher the number of deaths, the greater the fear. The lower the morale. When corpses were everywhere, filled with humans from the first universe, fear would slowly turn into despair. Despair, it would cause those who were originally filled with fighting spirit to lose their confidence. At that time, they would really become fish on the chopping block. Perhaps the other party wouldn't even need to act, they would all commit suicide. Then, the humans from the first universe would completely lose. Chapter 2249. Tianhai's Reminder. It was like a heavy hammer striking the hearts of the crowd. The impact on morale was really important. It was very likely that too many deaths would cause fear in their subordinate. This is really bad. Jing Ling frowned. No matter what, Hegeman Wei cannot shirk his responsibility. He must receive the punishment he deserves. That's right. The others nodded. If not for Hegeman Wei's warning, there wouldn't have been so many deaths in Universe 1. So many humans had died, and to the survivors. It was definitely a terrible thing. At least, even if there were occasional deaths, they still had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers. Of course, they still had it now. However, the advantage in numbers was an absolute advantage that the natives did not dare to act rashly. Now that they suddenly lost millions of humans, the mastermind must be planning to make a move. Do you see that? This is the greed of human nature. Above the village, an old man sat on the eaves of a house, listening to the firecracker-like explosions outside, watching the souls of the humans of Universe 1 disappear in front of his eyes. There was not a trace of emotion in his turbid eyes. If there was, there might be a hint of ridicule. Lord is right. Mu Yi respectfully stood in front of the old man, his head deeply lowered. Lord, when do we need to start? Just now, the people below have sent news that our people are in place. Very good. The old man nodded. Suddenly, the old man sitting on the eaves couldn't help but cough violently. Mu Yi hurried over. The old man spread his hands, his palms were red. Lord, are you all right? Mu-yi comforted. I'm all right. After coughing for a while, the old man stretched out his hand, signaling Mu-yi not to worry too much. Have you found the person? The youth you mentioned isn't here, but the woman has been found. Mu-yi replied. He's not here? The old man frowned, his eyes sunk into thought for a long time. Are you sure you didn't miss anything? This subordinate has sent people to search several times, but they couldn't find the youth. Mu-yi said confidently. Forget it. The old man didn't insist. His current situation didn't allow him to continue waiting. Do it, get that woman back for me. Cough, 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 alive! Yes. With that, Mu-yi hurriedly left from the eaves. After he left, the old man sitting on the eaves coughed more and more violently. In the end, he even fell from the eaves. Large mouthfuls of blood flowed out from the gaps between his fingers. His nose was bleeding profusely. In an instant, the old man's entire body was covered in flames. He sat cross-legged on the ground, causing the surrounding space to distort from the heat. If anyone else saw this, they would definitely be shocked. The flames on his body were not just pure red, but also had a hint of gold mixed within. After a while, the flames subsided. The old man sat on the ground, panting heavily. Compared to before, he seemed to have aged a lot. His skin had withered like tree bark. The hair on the top of his head had all turned white. It was still that kind of withered white without any luster. Half a day, you've become like this in just half a day? The old man sat on the ground and murmured. This was the body that he had just taken possession of in the morning. So far, it had not even been 12 hours. The originally strong young man had become like this. Based on the long period of lodging, he had a rough idea of what was going to happen. The bodies he possessed were all ordinary people. They had no way of withstanding the flames in their bodies. The burning of the flames caused their life force to rapidly drain away. At the start, he could still suppress it, and the bodies he possessed could endure it for a while. However, in the past few days, he was unable to suppress the flames in his body. He desperately needed a new host. He couldn't use the ordinary villagers anymore. With the current intensity of the flames in his body, the ordinary villagers would be burned to ashes after a few more days of fusion. What he needed was a body that could withstand the baptism of the flames. He had 3 targets in mind: Yizichin, Baisei, and Qingyu. Yizichin was the best choice. He had an elemental spirit in his body, as well as 4 other elemental spirit. Then there was Qingyu. The fire spirit clansmen were naturally resistant to fire, and had a certain ability to suppress the fire element. Finally, there was Baisei. There was nothing special about her other than the fact that she had flames in her body, which allowed her to withstand the flames. But now, Baisei had already appeared in the village. Although he didn't see Yizichin or Qingyu, he couldn't wait any longer. He had to quickly obtain Baisei and fuse with her, then think about other things. The elemental source really shouldn't be greedy. The elder sat on the ground and muttered. The old man sat on the ground and muttered to himself. However, it was too late for regret. The only thing that could save him now was the only way to complete this mission. Tianhai, what do you think we should do? In the village, in this kind of situation, Tianhai's steadiness made everyone subconsciously want to seek his opinion. He was the calmest person from start to finish. He had always been analyzing the problem rationally. Wait, Tianhai shrugged with a wry smile. Tianhai smiled bitterly and spread his hands. Don't think that I have a solution. Actually, I don't have any. All we can do now is wait. Wait for who? Returning Windblade frowned. The Virtual World Corporation. Tianhai said. There's no way the Virtual World Corporation wouldn't notice such a huge loophole. Once the Virtual World Corporation fixes it, we can directly log off. What if they don't fix it? Jingling frowned. It was surprising that this girl, who looked very young, was calmer than the men in Steelcase and Windblade. The relationships within the Virtual World Corporation are very complicated. If there's a problem, just reporting it requires a lot of procedures. According to what you said at the start, the higher-ups of the Virtual World Corporation defected to the enemy. Then, I feel like the Virtual World Corporation won't deal with us in a short period of time, Jingling said. You're right, Tianhai nodded. He didn't deny Jingling's words. But we still have to wait. I know you guys think that waiting is just sitting around waiting for death, but that's all we can do now. With just a few thousand people from our clans, we won't be able to shake the entire village's population. No, I don't have any descendants. Returning Windblade covered his face. You make it sound like we have descendants. Gu Lu rolled her eyes. Don't be too pessimistic about everything. Of course, we can't be too optimistic either. I feel like we still need to make some preparations. What's there to prepare? The flame rat's gaze froze as he held his weapon. Men, just kill them. He had already been scared once. This time, he had to win against his heart. Even if he died, he had to die on the way. Chapter 2250. Yi Zichen saw the determination in the flame rat's eyes. Tianhai couldn't help but look over with a hint of shock in his eyes. That's right. Jingling also nodded, then took out her weapon. No matter what, we can't place our future in someone else's hands. All of a sudden, Tianhai was stunned. The future! Yeah, I nearly forgot. The future is still outside. What happened to the future god outside? Meng Luo didn't understand. He's definitely a smart person. Tianhai's eyes were filled with trust and certainty. He definitely noticed that something was wrong with us. What's more, he was the first person to remind us of the purge plan. I believe that he's already on his way. That's right, the future god can definitely do it, Hui Fengren said. I also believe in the future god, Steelcase said. Then, he frowned. But before that, I need to tell you guys something. The natives have made their move. All of a sudden, everyone's heart tensed up. No one asked what Steelcase was referring to. All they had to do was look forward. There's no other way. Let's fight. With that, Tianhai raised the weapon in his hand. God domain! Yes. Several thousand God domain experts replied in unison. The other leaders couldn't help but feel their scalps tingle when they saw that. In terms of numbers, they were far too lacking compared to the God domain. Also, the members of the God domain were much more outstanding than the members they recruited later on. Yes, they were envious. Very quickly, everyone calmed themselves down, gripped their weapons, and shouted towards the members of their respective factions. Alert! 7 of the 10 major factions began to prepare for battle. I suddenly noticed something, Hui Fengren said. Windblade said, Did you guys see the rouge and makeup? This guy didn't show his face from the start. She was more excited than anyone else when the great god appeared. Who knows? Don't worry about that. Prepare for battle. There's a problem. There's definitely a problem. Yi Zichen looked at the empty chat group and the chat that didn't respond no matter how many times he sent a message. His eyes were filled with darkness. Xen Zhengnan hasn't returned yet? Yi Zichen had already sent people to investigate the moment. He received no response. Not yet, Han Qing shook his head. Yi Zichen frowned deeply. He knew very well that Meng Luo and the others were in prison. This was inevitable. What he didn't know was that their information network had been cut off. Don't let anything happen. Yi Zichen sat in his chair with a sullen look. He was still worried that Meng Luo and company didn't have time to send a message because they had already made their move. But, didn't Meng Luo and the others say that they had completed the mission and obtained a purple-tier weapon? He turned on the virtual network. Saya. Meng Luo and company's situation caused Yi Zichen to feel uneasy. He called out to Xianyuan Xiang for a long time, but there was no response. Thus, Yi Zichen could only contact the Highness of the Virtual World Corporation. What is it, Lil Milky Way? Shea's message appeared in front of Yi Zichen. Small Milky Way. This title caused Yi Zichen's scalp to go numb. I need to trouble you with something, Yizichin replied. Oh, little Milky Way, you've actually troubled me with something. Tell me quickly then. I'm very busy carrying out a mission outside, Shea replied. You're not at the Virtual World Corporation? Yizichin frowned. Of course, Shea replied. I'm the Royal Highness of the Virtual World Group, so I have to go out and do some work. Otherwise, why else would they pay me for free? Then never mind, Yizichin said. AI, just what is it? Tell me. Shea pursued. Yizichin had thought that Shea was still in the corporation. He wanted Yizichin to use his position to investigate Meng Luo and company as situation. Now that Shea isn't in the corporation, there's nothing he can do. Say it. Shea continuously asked. Yizichin hesitated for a moment before finally replying. When he sent the message, Shea didn't reply for a long time. I sent someone to investigate. I'll contact you when there's a result. If there's nothing else, then I won't say any more. I'm still carrying out a mission. Thank you. No need to be courteous with me, Lil Milky Way. Shea left the virtual network with a tease. Yizichin couldn't help but feel speechless when he saw this title. It was fortunate that Shea had already sent someone to investigate. This allowed Yizichin to be a bit more at ease. Ding, bro future. The moment he saw the message, Yizichin shot up from his seat. You've finally sent a message. Su-Hu. During these few hours, Yizichin had been waiting for Su-Hu's news. According to their plan and agreement, it should be Mu-Yi attacking Yizichin's city, and Su-Hu had promised him. Yet Mu-Yi didn't come, and Meng Luo and company were forcefully summoned to the novice village. Yizichin sent him countless messages during that time. Not a single one. What exactly are you doing? Su-Hu, are you intentionally messing with me? Do you think I'm easy to scare? Yizichin roared angrily, while his body trembled uncontrollably. Bro future, don't be angry. Su-Hu quickly replied with a hint of bitterness in his tone. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. At least, I received all the messages you sent me. It was also because of these messages that Lord Fire nearly noticed me. What? Did you come to scold me? Yizichin asked. How could that be? Su-Hu quickly explained. I didn't mean it like that. I also feel very sorry. Bro future, I really didn't think that Lord Fire would suddenly bring forward the purge plan. Brought forward? Yizichin frowned. That's right. Lord Fire suddenly contacted me half a day ago and told me to go to his place. When I got there, he brought up the matter of bringing forward the purge plan. Ever since then, I have never left his sight, said Su-Hu. Why bring it forward? Lord Fire's body condition is rather bad. Su-Hu sent a message. Su-Hu sent a message. He urgently needs a vessel now. This vessel mentioned you and 2 girls in the meeting. Since you sent me a message, it means that you're safe, so I don't have to worry anymore. Vessel? Yizichin frowned. Then, his expression suddenly darkened. Who are the other 2 vessels? Baisei and Qingyu, Su-Hu replied. That's what I heard Mu-Yi say in the meeting. The purge plan this time is to obtain a vessel. Bro future, Qingyu should be with you, right? Do you know Baisei? I do. Since that's the case, then hurry up and hide her. I reckon that Lord Fire won't be able to live for long. As long as we make him fail this time, then we'll definitely win. But Baisei is in your village right now. Chapter 2251. Don't kill me. In the village, the first universe's human was kneeling on the ground. In front of him was a young man holding a long blade. The blade was still dripping with blood. Not long ago, he had used this long saber to decapitate the people around him in front of the man in front of him. Bright red blood splattered on the native's face. It also splattered on the clothes of the person begging for mercy. Let me go. The person on the ground kept begging for mercy. When he saw the people around him die, he seemed to have lost the courage to fight and became as lowly as an ant. Little did he know, The young man in front of him smiled coldly, and the long blade in his hand fell, without any hesitation. How pitiful! Seeing the round head roll in front of the young man, he glanced at the eyes that were unwilling to close in the end. With a disdainful smile, he kicked the head away. He used his battle robe to wipe the blood off the blade. Sir, the west side of the village is almost settled. At this moment, a few subordinates ran in front of the young man and reported the situation. He leaped onto the roof of the pavilion and gazed into the distance. The entire village was currently in a chaotic battle, and the air of the village was also lingering with the pungent stench of blood. How are the casualties? We have more than 10 dead and a few hundred injured. The 300,000 invaders are almost all dead. There are still a few who are resisting, but they will die soon. The subordinate was excited. Sir, we have a big victory in the west side of the village. Are there any who surrendered? The young man asked. Yes, according to what you said, regardless of whether they surrendered or not, we will kill them all. The subordinate replied. Good. This time, it was a purge plan to get rid of all the natives. They didn't need captives who surrendered. They just wanted them to die. Lord Fire had said that these invaders had their own independent homeland outside of the world they lived in. If they wanted to get rid of them, they had to get rid of them completely. Don't get too carried away. The young man frowned when he saw the excited look on his subordinate's face. Our strength is much higher than those invaders. The west side of the village isn't their main force, so it is natural for us to have such a result. Understood. The subordinate nodded. Clean up the west side of the village, and meet up with the north side. Yes. The subordinate accepted the order and left. The young man stood on the roof of the pavilion and narrowed his eyes. He secretly clenched his fist. This time, he must complete Lord Hua's task beautifully. He wanted to use the blood of these people to wash away the shame from last time. I've just received news that the entire west side of the village has fallen. Jing Ling squinted his eyes as he read the news from his subordinates. All fallen? Returning Windblade was shocked. More or less. Tianhai nodded in response. The west side of the village is the back of the village, and that side is connected to the residences in the village. Our Universe 1 has fewer people, so it's understandable that we would be the first to fall. Even so, that's still hundreds of thousands of humans, Gu Lu said. That's right. Steelcase nodded. Hundreds of thousands of humans were slaughtered just like that. In the history of the human race, this hasn't happened for tens of thousands of years. Humanity had a total of 3,080 universe countries. These universe countries, any one of them had trillions and trillions of human beings. 300,000 was actually a very small number when compared to the entire human population. However, as humanity stood out from the other races, their tyrannical strength allowed them to have peaceful time to develop. Other than the alien battlefields, where many races clashed, where danger and opportunity coexisted. In the territory of humanity, hundreds of thousands of people being slaughtered was already a very serious matter. Including the self-destruction from before, at least 40% of the humans in our village have died. Blue Shield Family 0713 frowned and said, Not only that, we have to consider another problem. No matter what, there are hundreds of thousands of people in the west side of the village, and they were all wiped out in less than half an hour. It can be seen that the difference in strength between us and the Aboriginals is too great. Who doesn't know that? Jing Ling frowned. The difference in strength between the Aboriginals and the humans of the first universe was obvious. Even the weakest Aboriginals in the village were at least at the 5th level of domain. The players were all at the 2nd level of domain. In terms of raw strength, they were a full 3 levels apart. In terms of equipment, the Aboriginals' equipment wasn't any worse than the humans of the first universe, and might even be better. If there was a difference in strength, equipment couldn't make up for it. In terms of numbers, if this continued, it wouldn't be long before they wouldn't have any advantage in terms of numbers. I don't know if you guys noticed. Gulu hesitated for a moment, looked at the messages sent by her subordinates, and spoke to everyone. The attacking methods of these aboriginals are very methodical. They've actually divided us into 5 squares: north, south, east, west, and center. From the periphery, they're slowly nibbling away at our strength. Yes. Jing Ling nodded. There's nothing wrong with that. Tianhai shrugged. Once the periphery is cleared, their strength can merge. At that time, the people in the middle won't be able to escape. So, can we try to kill our way out before they completely merge? Gulu looked toward the northwest. Now that the west side has fallen, the Aboriginals' forces are gathering toward the north. Why don't we take advantage of this and kill our way out from the west side? We can try. Stilkek nodded. Directly clash with the Aboriginals? Returning Windblade frowned. Are you sure you want to do this? Why not? Gulu said. If we wait here, we'll definitely die. At most, the people on the periphery will consume some of the Aboriginals, but the number will definitely not be much. If we break out now, even if we don't succeed, we can at least disrupt the Aboriginals' plan. When that time comes, wouldn't it be better to think of other countermeasures? We can't just stay here and wait to be nibbled away. Agreed. Jing Ling nodded. Agreed. Stilkek and the Blue Shield clan agreed as well. Tianhai naturally did not have any other opinions. Seeing that everyone had already agreed, returning Windblade could only agree as well. We can't. Meng Luo, who had not spoken much, frowned. Sister Ro and Sister Bai Yu are still unconscious. We have to stay here and take care of them. Gulu glanced at Hua Jianro and Bai Yu subconsciously. The people here did not know why the two of them had become like this. Then let Nebula stay here. Gulu hesitated for a moment and looked at the others. The few of us will lead the way and try to break out once. If we succeed, Nebula will follow. If not, we'll think of other plans. No problem. Stilkek was the first to agree. Looking at everyone's gaze, Gulu let out a deep breath. Kill. Chapter 2252. Brother Future, are you really coming to the village? After Su Hu and Yi Zichen contacted each other, their communication never stopped. I have to remind you. The entire village has already been locked down by Mu Yi's people. There are several hundred formation masters at all the entrances. The people inside can't leave, and the people outside can't enter. I'm already on my way. Yi Zichen's gaze was sharp as he charged at the very front like an unsheathed blade in the wilderness of Universe 2. Han Qing, Qing Hui, Xian Zhengnan, many experts followed behind Yi Zichen. The reason they came this time was to save everyone in the village. It seemed like they were trying to break a rock with an egg. That was indeed the case. There were less than 100 of them, and that was even after calling all of the shop's employees. In the village, Mu Yi's manpower was more than several 100,000. They were on a completely different level, and they did not have an absolute advantage in terms of strength. However, Yi Zichen was still determined. He did not hesitate at all. There was no way he could ignore Meng Luo, the flame rat and company in the village. Brother Future, why are you doing this? Su Hu's message was filled with emotion. For the sake of this purge plan, Mu Yi and Lord Hua had made thorough preparations. Yi Zichen coming at this time was like sending a sheep into a tiger's den. There's one more thing I need to tell you. At least 40% of your people in the village have died. The entire village is in chaos right now. Do you know how many of Mu Yi's people died? They haven't even broken 100 yet. This is a battle of strength, you guys can't win. So you're afraid? Yi Zichen's gaze was rather cold, and his tone was filled with disdain towards Su Hu. You feel like you can't turn the situation around, so you want to rely on that Lord Fire? Of course not. Then think of a way together. Yi Zichen shouted. You looked like you were going to give up from the start, and kept telling me to think things through. Have you ever thought about whether or not you will have any chance of taking back the village if he gets white? You keep saying that the villagers are your compatriots, and you can't give up on them, but what you're doing right now is no different from giving up on them. I'm adapting to circumstances. After a long silence, Sue who clenched his fists and shouted. What could he do? Right now, he was just a puppet. Everything in the village was in the hands of Mu-Yi, who was also Lord Hu. He had no rights and was just a marionette thrown into the open. His only hope was for Mu-Yi to cause trouble for Yi Zichen. At that time, he would take advantage of the chaos to deal with Mu-Yi, and he would slowly retract his power. But there was nothing he could do if the purge plan was brought forward. Then you should continue to adapt to circumstances. With that, Yi Zichen couldn't be bothered to say anything more to Su Hu. He looked forward with shining eyes. It seemed that he had found the wrong partner to work with. No guts. He even wanted to seize power. What a ridiculous idea. As long as Lord Huo was still alive, he would definitely have to face such a situation if he wanted to reclaim the village chief's authority. Right now, it was just bringing everything forward. He was actually afraid. My lord, we're almost at the village. Xian Zhengnan let out a long sigh. He was sent by Yi Zichen to check out the situation in the village. After learning about the situation, he met Yi Zichen and company who had already set off. How's the situation up ahead? They haven't made a move yet when I checked, Xian Zhengnan replied. At that time, I saw a lot of people surrounding the outside and many array masters setting up spiritual arrays. How many? Yi Zichen asked. Above 300 at all 4 entrances, Xian Zhengnan replied. Where do you think we should charge in? Yi Zichen continued to ask. Yi Zichen didn't know the exact situation, but Xian Zhengnan had checked out the entire village. Asking him was the best method. I don't recommend charging in, Xian Zhengnan clenched his teeth. It's not that I'm afraid, it's that even if we charge in, we definitely won't be able to get out. I'm telling the truth, we definitely won't be able to get out. Is that so? With that, Yi Zichen also stopped and looked at the people around him. Xian Zhengnan's words just now made me think of something. If you want to back out now, you can directly leave. I won't blame you. You heard it as well. This trip to the village will most likely end in death. I believe in Xian Zhengnan's judgment. He naturally has his reasons for saying that. I don't think he's afraid. So, I'll allow you to leave. Yi Zichen looked at the surrounding people silently. These people weren't data. Regardless of whether they belonged to the second universe or not, they were all living people. Yi Zichen couldn't let these people pay the price because of his impulsiveness. Want to leave? Then leave. Yi Zichen wouldn't blame anyone, nor did he have the time to think about all that. Everyone was silent. However, no one took even half a step back. Can I assume that you're all willing to die with me? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. My lord, we're willing to live, Chicano smiled wryly. Why must we die? Can't my lord let us come out alive? When this subordinate was guided to you by fate, I believed in all of your decisions, and believed that you can save us from danger. My life is yours. Han Qing's reply was very simple. If Bai Feng wanted to kill him during the competition with Bai Feng last time, he definitely would have died. Even though everyone knew that it was just a competition that would stop at a certain point. Han Qing was stubborn. Strength is obtained from life and death battles, said the city general. Then what about you? Yi Zichen looked towards Xian Zhengnan. What else can I say? Xian Zhengnan covered his face. My esteemed master already said that. Esteemed master's life is yours, and my life is esteemed master's. F***CK, I'm going to fight you with an iron head. Xian Zhengnan clenched his teeth, then took out a chicken leg from somewhere and chomped on it before throwing it on the ground. I'm wasting food. I'm definitely going to come back alive and pick up this chicken leg. Xian Jingnan couldn't help but mutter as he looked at the chicken leg on the ground. Then, he looked forward without any hesitation. The outline of the village could already be seen. There was a huge spiritual formation at the top of the village. The reason why we can't get out after breaking in is because as long as a formation master is still alive, no matter how many times we break in, they'll be able to restore the formation. So, I suggest that we try to think of a way to deal with it. Kill them all. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and looked forward. Just kill them all. Chapter 2253. Directly above the village, a huge purplish-blue spiritual array sat there. Looking from afar, the entire village looked like a furnace, and the disk was the lid. The edge of the spiritual array released countless thin lines. These lines crisscrossed, forming a fishing net in midair. The humans of Universe 1 were the fish in the net. No matter how they struggled, they couldn't break free from the net. When the net was retracted, they were the food on the plate of the aboriginals. To break this net, they needed to do it from the outside. This smell of blood, they should have started fighting inside. A few array masters maintaining the array outside whispered to each other. What do you think? The surrounding array masters couldn't help but curl their lips. The smell of blood was so heavy, if they hadn't started fighting, then something must have happened. I wonder how many have died. How many could it be? Just from the smell of blood, it should be at least tens of thousands. Moreover, they found so many array masters, they definitely want to kill everyone inside. Luckily, we don't need to go in. These array masters were here to arrange the spiritual array, they didn't need to go inside to fight. As for the array masters here, most of them came from other villages. It was very difficult for a single village to gather enough to seal the entire village. One must know, this large array had a total of 5 directions: north, south, east, west, and center. The other 4 directions had more than 300 array masters, and the center had even more. What they needed to do was to ensure the stability of the array. To make the humans of Universe 1 a turtle in a jar. I hope no one comes to cause trouble, so that we can return to the village safe and sound. Such a large amount of killing, I don't know how long I'll have to be vegetarian to wash it away. An old student among the array masters sighed. He seemed to pity the people trapped inside, saying words of regret, but the cosmic energy in his hands was more abundant than anyone else's. I do hope that someone comes to cause trouble. A mustached man in the crowd grinned. These foreign invaders should be killed. If not for the array needing maintenance, I'd go in and kill the enemy right now. Is that so? Suddenly, before the mustached man could finish his words, a whisper appeared in his ears. You think, the mustached man smiled proudly. These intruders should all die. Another cold reply. Only then did the mustached man tilt his head and look over, mumbling to himself. Who talked to me just now? Why can't I tell who it is? It's me. In an instant, a long sword glinting with a cold light appeared in front of the mustached man's neck. The sword pierced through his neck. When the blade was pulled out, a stream of blood gushed out from the wound. The mustached man did not utter a single word. He clutched his neck with both hands and stared straight ahead. His eyes looked like they were about to pop out. Dong, he fell to the ground. Twitch. Do it. After dealing with the formation master in front of him, Yi Zichen waved his sword. In an instant, in front of the formation masters at the eastern entrance of the village, countless experts holding weapons appeared. When these people revealed their faces, their weapons had already been placed on their vitals. Poochie, poochie, poochie. Dark red blood flowed out from the necks of countless formation masters. Not good, there's an enemy. The natives, who were protecting the formation masters, finally reacted and shouted. In this short span of less than half a minute, the 300 formation masters in the east of the village all died. A huge crack instantly appeared on the formation disk above the village after losing the maintenance of the formation masters. Retreat. After dealing with the formation masters, Yi Zichen no longer had any thoughts of fighting. He took out an invisibility scroll and hid himself. The surrounding subordinates did the same. Not even a minute passed from when they appeared to when they disappeared. Why are they all gone? The natives who were ordered to protect the formation masters roared angrily. Send people to investigate. I'll go and notify Lord Mui. Then send a few people to other locations to notify them. Tell them that the reinforcements of the intruders have arrived. Their target is the formation masters. Understood. According to Xin Zhengnan's explanation, Iron Head charging in was a very irrational idea. Actually, all they had to do was to aim at the formation masters. If the formation masters died, then the formation masters would naturally be damaged. The formation would naturally be damaged, and it would be easier for the people inside to kill their way out. Actually, that was exactly what Yi Zichen wanted. The invisibility scroll was an important help for them to carry out this mission. Yi Zichen did not know whether the natives had the invisibility scroll or not. He also did not know whether they could fight their way out. However, Yi Zichen and company did. With the invisibility scroll, as long as they were careful, they would be able to easily pass through the guard's line of sight and deal with the formation masters when they let their guard down. Just like just now, everyone chose their own target, and after dealing with the target as fast as possible, they used the invisibility scroll to leave. There was no hesitation at all. After killing the target, they moved on to the next one. F***CK, this feels too good. Xin Zhengnan couldn't help but shout. Xin Zhengnan couldn't stop shouting. Just now, he had used an invisibility scroll and swaggered to the side of the array master. After that, he dealt with 5 of them. He had thought that it would be a bloody battle. However, he didn't expect that he only used less than a minute to deal with the formation masters, and all of them were able to escape unscathed. Deities really do have a unique advantage over us, Han Qing couldn't help but exclaim. Even he, who was at the star level, had never gotten an invisibility scroll like that before. Whether it was used for assassination or escape, it was an absolute weapon. What was the scariest? Sometimes, killing people invisibly was the scariest. Sometimes, killing without leaving a trace was the most terrifying. You don't know that I'm right in front of you. Before you could even react, my blade would have already taken your life. That was the invisibility scroll. Yi Zichen did not think that the invisibility scroll would have such a miraculous effect. Actually, if you kept your guard up, it would be very easy to notice after using the scroll. Unfortunately, regardless of whether it was the natives or the formation masters, they were all living comfortably. They didn't have any sense of danger at all. It was also their arrogance that caused them to lose their lives. Sire, where are we going this time? The west. Why the west? Shouldn't we be heading towards the south or the north based on our position? Xin Zhengnan didn't understand. The east side was damaged, so they will definitely send people to warn us. They will definitely think the same way as you. They will warn the north and south first, then the west will be the last. And those formation masters will definitely think the same way. We will attack the north and south, and only when the north and south are in trouble will the west start to prepare. What we need to do is to use reverse thinking, and deal with all of them before the west pays too much attention to them,